What we do here is go back.
Good evening. Oh dear, it's going to be one of those silly streams again. Hopefully you're all well. It's Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. This is our Saturday night stream on the 4th of September 2021. September already. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Soon be Christmas, which is probably some of the reason why the stream is titled as it is this evening. PC building is tough and it's going to get a whole lot worse. But it isn't all doom and gloom. Well, hopefully it won't all be doom and gloom. There are some tips and tricks we can all use to get some decent parts at some decent prices and still build a PC. It may not be the latest and greatest, but it will get you up and running and all that kind of usual stuff. So tonight's stream is going to be pretty much a free-for-all. We'll be floating in and out of subjects as we generally tend to do here. If you want to get involved and post a question in the chat, which is over to my right, just put a Q in front of it so it highlights it a bit so I can see what your questions actually are, and I'll try not to miss them. If I don't answer straight away, if I'm in the flow of something else, then obviously do be patient. Don't just spam the hell out of the chat because it's, well, not the right thing to do. You definitely shouldn't do it. It's rather warm here at the moment. In the United Kingdom, currently we are experiencing the blip of summer, which is our kind of probably last and final heat wave until we get into those colder, chillier months. It's been pretty warm here today. Hopefully you guys have all had a little bit of sunshine, keeping up your vitamin D levels and all that kind of stuff. It's nice to get outside actually. Went in the garden, had a few hours, rested my eyes a little bit, and yeah, feels good. Still got a bit of a glow to me, so that's always a nice thing. So let's say hello to some of you that are in the chat as we'll get that out of the way first of all. And actually, it seems to be quite a lot of you in the chat already, so that is always a good sign. And hopefully you've all got questions and comments, suggestions, etc. on how to get decent PC parts. This week we've actually done, well, numerous PC builds for various different reasons, and obviously we've been putting out tons of videos for you all to enjoy and like and subscribe to and all that kind of stuff. It's been another mad week. It's literally, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that we did our last live stream. It's just the time is absolutely flying by and things are changing so fast. But anyway, let's say hello to some of you in the chat. So we've got Arali is with us. We've also got Pelpson. We've got Outlaw Fett who sent a super chat whilst we were just eating our tea and it scared the bejesus out of us. So thank you Outlaw Fett for that super chat. Who else we got with us? We've got Jad 2016 or Jad 2019, whichever he or she wants to be. I'm guessing it's a he. You can never tell these days. Probably best not to make judgments either way. Ugly Bob's with us. We've also got, who else we got? Yeah, everyone's having a conversation there. Stuart Cleary with us as well. How you doing, Stuart? Danielle Emberley, Rick Hartzer. Who else? Matthew Day. What's Matthew Day having for food tonight? We actually had a really nice tea. We had battered fish with chips. Fish and chips. Good old English tradition. Actually, it should have been on a Friday, not a Saturday, but it was very, very enjoyable. We did like that a lot. Matthew's having bangers and mash. And for my special mash, I add cheese sauce powder to the mash. Very good. Years ago, when I was a youngster at school, I used to get a measuring jug, like you'd put fluids in, and I'd chuck a load of smash in there, which is basically powdered potato stuff that you add hot water to. To that, I would add grated cheese and HP brown sauce, and then make that up, and that was my cheesy speciality mash, which I then put into a piece of bread, because you don't want to be greedy, have some bread with it. And I used to love that stuff, I really did. My internal organs probably are paying the price for it now, but certainly at the time when I was a youngster, it was very, very enjoyable and gave me some energy to get through the day and do some BMXing and mountain biking on an afternoon after school. There we go, there's a little bit of a flashback for you all. I'm actually having a flashback now. Scott Gordon's with us, says, glad I built mine before everything dried up. Yeah, PC parts is just insane. We'll get into that a little bit later, but this week especially, it's been a really weird week. We've had some really, really, really good bargains, as some of you have already picked up on, and we've been posting them into the community tab, so if we find something which we think is going to be of benefit to you guys, normally it's UK based, as Kath makes me stress every single time, because I don't always stress that it is UK only, but we are a UK channel, so generally that tends to be who we're kind of aiming towards. Obviously, finding American bargains isn't as easy for us to do because of... Yeah, if you find any US bargains, feel free to let us know. We've got a Discord chat room, which is bargains no chat, so you can post your links in there. Also, you can post them to us, mike@mikesunboxing.com if you email it, or alternatively, you can reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is Shop Smart. So that's...
I don't answer questions on there, sorry.
Kath don't answer questions, so don't do that.
I ain't got enough time. Sorry.
Welly Bob says, hello there, unboxers. John Sullivan's also with us. Saeed Anwar says, hello, everybody. How you doing, Saeed? Glenn's with us, says even all. Ugly Bob, we said. Aleta's with us. That chat thingy is telling me to say something. Okay, something. Thank you, Aleta, for adding to the statistics. Blake's with us as well. Damn it, I'm about to watch a Farscape episode. Scott Gordon says, zzz. There is a fly in here, actually. That will be making some zzz noises also. Nick Barnes with us. Evening, Mike and Kath and everyone. Is Doctor Who starting? Yeah, I was having a little play. Like everything in life, things get a bit tiring, and the stream, we've done the same stuff over and over, and I was just looking on Pixabay, which is a great site for picking up images, sounds as well, audio stuff, and also video, and I picked up that and I just saw it and I thought, yeah, I like the look of that, I'm going to stick that on the stream. So yeah, that is why you got it. Changing things up a little bit. Wild Bill's with us, says, evening Kath, hope all is well. You know what, Kath? I know some people don't want to get in front of the camera. Your good self being one of them, but I really think you should make the occasional appearance.
I do, I walk past that computer and do a bit of reflective porn.
There is reflecto porn in a lot of our videos, so if you look carefully, generally in the light reflecting off there, or if we're doing a case review, normally you'll see Kath in the background, because it's a very small room and there's nowhere to hide.
I have done my own video once of hula hooping in the snow.
If you want to see Kath, she did actually do a hula hooping video. If you can find it, post it in the chat. Although Kath will have to do it, won't you?
Ugly Bob will do it, he always.
Ugly Bob will find it. Where are we? Ugly Bob says, what an entrance. Hi Mike, how you doing, Bob? Fred Brown's with us, says, I'm okay, Jack. Scott Gordon says, fat fingers caps, sorry. We've all been there. I do all the time with these little digits. Skystalker's with us. Mac Games also. Ugly Bob says, I was in Sainsbury's today and they were stocking festive food already. Oh my... The holiday season is upon us. There's many shops that have been stocking up on that sort of stuff, and we're starting to see adverts for Christmas as well. For us personally, as a YouTube channel, it is fantastic because advertisers are getting their money ready for advertising things for the holiday periods. Obviously, you've got November is a massive month in the US, and December for the US and the UK, and pretty much most other places as well. So Black Friday deals, all that kind of stuff. Everyone's trying to advertise, so hopefully it will increase our YouTube revenue somewhat, which would be very welcome at the moment. Who else we got with us? William Bodie, I think I said already. Did I say already? I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, but bear with me, I'll give it a go. Amirfode Chameleon. Sorry if I've absolutely annihilated that, but thank you for joining us and thanks for commenting. Graham says, hey all, loving the channel, Mike. Thank you, Graham, appreciate that. We do try hard. Believe it or not, even though the production values are extremely low, we do try very hard, and it is a lot of work in it, Kath. It is a lot of work. It is constant. The YouTube questions, we do try and keep on top of the YouTube questions, so if you're a new viewer here and you've just found Mike's Unboxing for the first time, we are one of those channels that reply to questions. Generally, I would say our response rate is extremely high. Even to the point of we go back to comments which were maybe missed maybe a year ago or held for some reason because they contain something which they possibly think is bad or whatever. But we do go through and we do try and answer all of your questions, or at least give you some kind of response to say, like, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, all that kind of stuff. So we value you all.
Replies to comments do get more lost.
Replies to comments do get lost, I'll be honest with you. That is a very difficult thing for us to track. On YouTube, they make some really good stuff, but actually replying to replies is extremely difficult, especially when you've got thousands and thousands of people commenting all at the same time on various different videos. It's really hard to get your head around it, but I do try. I do try. Akash says, hi there, hope all is well. I've got a question. How much would you buy a 1600 AF 2080 system for? Is 1100 too much? Depends where you are and what that 1100 is. If it's pounds, it's probably in and around the right sort of figure. Prices are off mental. We'll take a look at some prices later and we'll explain that in more depth. So paying the right amount for a system is hard. There are ways you can work out if you're paying over the odds or if you're paying about right or if you're getting an absolute steal. We'll go through some of that a little bit later on. Fred Brown says, now 25 likes. Well, that's pretty cool. I like that. Likes are good. That is one thing, actually, we should mention this to those of you that are possibly regular viewers, maybe, or even if it's your first time here. Because of the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you like this sort of content and you want to watch our videos and be notified when they come out, the best way of doing it is, if you're a subscriber, just when you open up your YouTube app or on the desktop, rather than just waiting for the videos to be populated on the top on the main page, just click on the subscriber tab on the left hand side and all your subscriber feed will be there. Now I think most people probably know that, but there's some people that still don't realise that. So that completely bypasses the YouTube algorithm. So if you click on the subscriber tab on the side, you'll get all the videos from the people that you're actually subscribed to in a chronological order. So if there's any that you might have missed from your favourite YouTube channels, then you'll find them all there. Don't rely on YouTube to actually put it on the homepage, because they're going to try and get you to watch other things because they want you to. They're trying to kind of steer you into where you want to go. They don't really care about what you want to watch on that homepage. But if you go to the subscription tab, it bypasses it also. If you're a subscriber, click on that and you'll find our videos really, really easily. Just thought I'd get that out there. Wild Bill says, Mike, I remember when you used to do this all in front of a fireplace. Come a long way, Mike. Yeah, we've done, well, we haven't really changed the location too much.
Occasionally we use other rooms.
We have used other rooms, bedroom, front room, living room, outside even. Although outside is scary.
I did have to do the outside for snow.
Aletta says, what's going on with PSUs? I ordered a Seasonic 850 watt PSU and Amazon says it will be in November. That, my friend, is a sign of things to come. Things are definitely getting worse. And there's so many things which are going on at the moment which are compounding that, which I'm going to go into a bit of a monologue on that shortly. So I'll kind of explain what is going on and hopefully give you some tips to kind of get around that if possible. Ira Wolfman says, Black Friday, another year you won't find a GPU sale. Yeah, that's true. Fred Brown says, Mike, how do you change the ASUS BIOS cap to ROM? I don't think you do. I think you leave it as cap for ASUS Flash and BIOS. I've done that this week, actually, a couple of times. I'm sure you use the BIOS renamer tool, which comes, when you download the BIOS, it comes with it.
Can I just interrupt? You missed one. Acash.
Yes. Acash.
Hi, is there? I hope all is well. No, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
There, I hope all is well. I've got a question. How much would you buy a 6?
Oh yeah, I read that out just now.
Oh, did you do that?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry. Kath's checking up on me, rightfully so. Ivory Wolfman says, I can see Kath in your eyes, Mike. Ding! Where else are we? Graham.
Oh, you were so angry last night, weren't you?
I was. Graham says, Xmas trees were in the local, the range. Oh my goodness. Oh, blimey. I got to move that light bulb. There's a super chat coming in from our good friend Ugly Bob. And actually, did you send one a little bit earlier when the stream started? I should have.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't address that. I must apologise profusely. Where are we? Ugly Bob says, Kath, Abba going on tour. We should really talk about that. I'm not too sure how I feel about Abba making a comeback 38 years later. It is a little bit bizarre. I'm really not sure how I feel about it. When I was a youngster, you think if they stopped about 38 years ago, that would have made me single-digit figures when they were about. And I vaguely recall my mum playing Abba endlessly, and any of her friends did as well. If we ever went to my mum's friends' houses or whatever, it would be Abba playing all the time. And I think I was slightly scarred by that as a youngster. But actually now...
Is that why you don't like flares?
Probably. Now I actually don't mind listening to a bit of Abba, especially when I'm testing headphones, because some of the frequencies and the vocal ranges and kind of the different movements in Abba songs really does test out speakers and headphones. So yeah, the new stuff, I've heard one song and I'm not entirely convinced. It's not quite got that same magic to it, but who knows, it may grow on me like a wart. John O says, spot on, the renaming tool does it. Thanks, John. Kev2427 says, evening folks, how you doing, Kev? Hope you're feeling better now. Matt Games says, sus. I'm not sure what that means, but I guess that's a greeting. Hi. Afandi says, hello, Mike and Kath, how you doing? Fred Brown says, you just renamed to .rom. Yeah, I think you can. I think the cap file, you can just rename it. I think it just changes the file extension, but I would use the renaming tool. Will Bill says, I'd rather remember them as they were, referring to Abba. So Soppy Ball says, evening people. Stuart Cleary says, I paid £350 for a GTX 1070 this week to go on my cheaperson A320 M-H. Ruined the frugal theme. Yeah, €350 for a GTX 1070 is a lot. That's quite high. We were lucky. There's a local guy in Bristol who sells off basically business PCs, which come from various different kind of production places, and he's always selling things like GTX 1060s, 1070s, 1080s, 2070s, 2080s, that sort of stuff. And actually at pretty decent prices. I picked one up for about $225, which if you take that into euros is probably about 250, 260 possibly. So yeah, got some pretty decent deals there. William Bodie says, you were lucky I had to wear a pullover with I Love Abba on it as a kid.
Mike just had his space pants.
Yeah, I just had space pants. They're like Y fronts, but they had space theme on the front.
Big rocket.
Big rocket on the front of my pants, ladies and gents. It's about the only time I've had something big that size down there. Oh dear. Matt Game says, are you going to make a video setup for the Stream Deck? Yes, I still haven't done it. I'll be honest with you. Our videos that we've recorded and are kind of on the Patreon early access, we're about 2 weeks, just over 2.5 weeks ahead of today's date. So if we recorded a video today, which we did, did we? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did record one today. That video probably won't go out for another 2.5 weeks. Although when it's edited and uploaded, it'll be accessible to all patrons. So it'll be early access. Patreon, actually, if you want to help support the channel, you can go to Patreon. I think the lowest tier is like £2 or something, or $2 even. So what's that, about £1? I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you want to support us or get early access to it, then you can go to patreon.com/mikesunboxing and you can support the channel and get early access to the videos.
Did your space pants have Uranus on the back of them?
They didn't, no. And trumpet pants. I got Trump pants. Kev2427, are you still using the Tautronics mesh system? Yes, it's extremely good. I love it. I really do. Genuinely. It's the only thing I'm finding troubles with at the moment. Maybe some of you people out there in internet land might be having the same thing. Do you find that when you say the trigger word to your Google device, That's why I didn't trigger it. It always comes up saying, sorry, there was a problem, try again in a few seconds. Now I can't work out whether it's to do with the mesh or whether everyone's having it. I did a search for it on Google, on the internet, and everyone, well, a lot of people are having the same issue. And it does seem to be that I've got 3 of those things, one here, one in our bedroom, one in the front room, and all 3 of them do exactly the same thing, although not always. So if I've woken it up already, it's fine, but if it's kind of just listening like that, actually, let's try it. Hey Google.
Something went wrong. Try again in a few seconds.
Yeah, so you had the echo then from this one and the one in the living room as well. And I get that all the time. Ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, that potentially is, it could be a problem with the Tautronics router. I haven't looked into it massively. Ideally, I guess if I assigned each one of these a static IP address, it might be something to do with the way that they pick up a IP, although in theory they should be connected all the time. So I don't think it is that. I think it's just these things are just not working as they should. So anyway, moving on. So yeah, hey Google, do you spy on me?
That's definitely not a thing I do. The information that you share with me makes me more of a personal assistant. But you can control what's shared and adjust what data is stored at g.co/assistant/your data. I've also sent a link to your phone.
Yeah, so that's not creepy, is it? I've also sent a link to your phone and your parents and also Bill Gates. Ah, dear, 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 dear. Right.
Oh, just one last question. Captain Meat.
Yes.
Which movie world would you like to live in?
Which movie world would I like to live in? The Matrix. Because I think that would be very similar to what we're living in anyway. I don't think there would be a great deal of difference, and if there was, I wouldn't know about it. Dear. Right, okay, let's get on with this. So, buying PC parts is an absolute pain in the proverbial. If you're building a new PC at the moment, it is extremely tough. You can use tools like PC Part Picker, you can use other avenues of trying to work out bargains. Obviously our Discord, the bargains no chat section, the community tab as well where we post deals. You can go to places like UK Hot Deals, although Kath hates them because they banned her. Boo, don't like them. There's other options. Obviously there's various places you can go to work out what is going on, where you can get deals from. But even so, prices are getting absolutely ridiculous. They really are. At the moment, the used market is what I would consider to be the best place to look for parts. That also comes with its own unique problems. So if you're buying used, which I personally do enjoy doing, it is not without risk, obviously, because you're buying used parts. Potentially you've got no warranty, no comeback, and you've got things like issues with if you pay cash. There's no recourse whatsoever if you're using a bank transfer. That also in itself is potentially very risky because once the money's gone, it's extremely hard to get it back unless you can prove various types of fraud. PayPal, for me, is the way to go. If you can buy something on PayPal, use the goods and services rather than friends and family, and then you can kind of get a little bit of a some form of guarantee that the items are going to be merchantable, suitable for what they're intended. Generally, now this isn't always the case, but generally, much like eBay in the past, PayPal will favor even the buyer. So as a buyer using PayPal, it's fantastic. As a seller using PayPal, you do leave yourself open for a lot of abuse. Quite easily, you could send something off which is absolutely A1 condition. Obviously, when you do stuff, make sure you take pictures, serial numbers, all that kind of stuff, just to protect yourself a little bit. That will help as well. If you can get like today's newspaper or something with today's date, maybe your watch face or something, and take a picture of your goods, just so you can have some way of actually proving that your items have been sent or in one piece, that kind of thing. That's always a really good thing to do. So as a buyer, PayPal is the way to go, certainly. As a seller, I would probably insist on either cash or bank transfer, which is not always going to go down well with some people. It is going to involve an element of trust, which comes on to the next part of where where are you going to get your used parts from? Now, obviously, if you're someone like myself, and you've got a YouTube channel or you've got a community that you're part of, if there's people of like-minded thing and they've got something, and they're like, oh, I've got this graphics card, I don't really want it anymore, anybody interested, you can do it that way. And that's reasonably safe thing to do. The people that you talk to on a general daily basis, you can pretty much get a gauge of what they're like, if they're trustworthy, etc., etc. So that's probably a relatively safe way of doing it. The other ways are things like Facebook Marketplace, which I actually really do like using, but
not all of them deliver.
Yeah, not all of them will deliver, for one, which is a pain in the ass because I have to actually leave the house, which I don't like particularly. But again, it's very easy for someone to set up a scam page, etc., etc. And some people don't always feel comfortable with, if you say, for instance, you're in a communication with someone on Facebook Marketplace, they've got, for instance, a monitor, which is something which we've picked up a couple of this week, actually, some absolute scorching bargains on monitors. I won't go too far into that anyway, but we got a bloody amazing deal on some monitors, and the conversation went, can you deliver? So they, fine, no problem, where are you? So brilliant, they're local, excellent. So that's one thing. I said, is PayPal okay? Because I wanted to have some kind of security on it. They're like, don't have PayPal. So immediately then the alarm bells are ringing. I'm thinking, if most people these days have got PayPal in this digital world, so okay, let's see what we can do here. So they said bank transfer, is that okay? So I said, well, cash or bank transfer, as long as you don't mind me testing them. So anyway, long story short, they turned up with these monitors, come to the front door, and first of all, I had a piece of paper written out, like a receipt. Proper receipt saying what they were, money received, date, etc., etc. And I said, I'm not being funny, but I would like a receipt of some form. Would you be okay putting your name and address and just signing this on here?
And we do need it for the tax man.
That, for us, is a must, because obviously we have to pay taxes on things we buy and sell, etc. So that can go into the tax folder. But as an individual, if you're in a similar situation, get a receipt. Even if it's just a handwritten, scribbled thing, try, ideally, if you can, get them to show you some ID to say they are who they say they are, and maybe something with an address on. Most people these days carry a driver's license around with them, so you say, look, not being funny, do you mind if I just quickly look at your driver's license just to make sure you're who you say you are? Most people, as long as they're genuine, they'll be absolutely fine with that. Again,
Get the number on the back.
this person was absolutely great, and they just filled their details out. I said, look, do you mind if I take the monitor? Literally, I'm in the next room. Do you mind if I just go and plug it in and test it, make sure it is as you said it is? Normally, again, if the person is sound, they want to sell the product, essentially, so they should be happy with that. If they turn around and say, well, no, just say to them, okay, I'm very sorry, thanks for coming out to bring them to me, but if you're not going to let me test the product, I'm not going to hand over my money for it. I'm very sorry, but I'm not giving you money for something I haven't tested. So that's something else you can do to kind of protect yourself in the used market. Another way of doing it, if you don't want to use the kind of the personal interaction thing with Facebook Marketplace or maybe even eBay, that sort of thing, very similar situation, something like CEX, for those of us in the UK, is actually a really, really good opportunity. Their prices at the moment are pretty decent. Now, don't all go buying stuff from CEX now, because the prices will go up, because they'll see they've got an algorithm very similar to Amazon. So if people start buying a load of something, they look at the prices and then put them up accordingly. So try not to all do that at the same time, because that is going to trigger their algorithm. But certainly, a good, for example, at the moment, the Ryzen 5 3600, which is possibly the most popular processor on the planet right now, because of it's just great. You could pick that up just not too far after launch for about £150 here in the UK, maybe 155, 160. Currently on Amazon.co.uk, well, maybe one of you can take a look, open up a tab. I'm pretty sure the last time I looked, it was 190, 195, which kind of almost puts it in the same price as the 3700X on the used market, which is absolute insanity. But CEX are still selling them at the moment, at least they were this afternoon, for £140. Now, the good thing with CEX, now I'm not sponsored by them, not affiliated in any way, shape or form, I'm just trying to pass on information to you to hopefully help you make a sensible solution. It comes with a 2-year warranty.
190.
190 on Amazon, is it? Yeah, £190. So if you buy something from Amazon today, £190 for a Ryzen 5 3600. Yes, it's brand new. You get the frill, the cheap thing of being able to open the box and go, ooh, stealth cooler, launching it in the bin. It's new, great. You get a 1-year warranty with Amazon, potentially longer with AMD, but we'll disregard that for now. If you buy it from CEX, you save £50, in which case you can replace the crap cooler which it comes with, because they probably won't send you one anyway, unless it's a box version, which is unlikely. But you get a 2-year warranty with CEX. And generally they kind of honour their warranties very easily. They just say, send it back, we'll send you another one.
Matthew Day thinks it drifts 140 to 145 on CEX.
Right, yeah, Matthew Day saying there, the price does drift a little bit, 140 to 145, I guess depending on the condition, packaging, etc, etc. So, but still, at 145 you're saving £45 off the new price. So that's basically a third of the price. To me, that is a no-brainer. It really is. And there's other really good processors that you can pick up for similar prices. So if you're looking for something a little bit older, maybe you've got a B450 board and maybe you want to do a bit of video editing, the Ryzen 7 2700X and 2700, you can pick those up for about 140, 145. Excellent processor, still kicks ass today. It may not be the right thing for you, but certainly if you look at a Ryzen 7 now, on the new market, what are you looking? 260, 270, £300 for half the price. Yes, it might be 10% slower. It might even be 20% slower. But for half the price, come on. Seriously, it makes good sense. It really does. Am I just being stupid? Let me know in the comments what you think. I think it's a really good way of doing it. Graphics cards as well. Now, graphics cards on CEX is a very difficult one because they have generic terms. So if you, for instance, you want a EVGA 1080 for the win, it's unlikely you're going to get one. If you type in NVIDIA GTX 1080, there's just a generic listing for a decent price. You might get an EVGA card, you might get a reference card, a founder's card, you might just get some real crappy thing, although it's a 1080 so it's not going to be crap, but you get what I mean. So that is the one area where I'd be a little bit concerned. RAM is another good one. CEX prices for RAM are also very, very good, although do try and buy pairs, because if you buy 2 lots of 8 gig RAM, potentially you might not get 2 sticks which are the same. Even if they're the same speed and frequency, they might be different brands. So that is definitely something to consider. So do look out for that. But yeah, for me, CEX is bloody great. It's 2-year warranty, which is brilliant. You won't get that on the used market anywhere else, guarantee you. Now, yeah, the prices may not be as keen as what you might find on Facebook Marketplace or even eBay, but you buy something off eBay, what recourse have you got? Yes, if it turns up broken or doesn't turn up at all, then potentially PayPal will give you your money back, but you still got all that hassle of chasing it up and getting proof of postage and going through all that legal stuff, and then potentially you've got the person on the other end of the transaction denying everything and possibly even sending you hate mail, that sort of stuff. I have not got the time nor the energy to be dealing with all that. I really haven't. So unless it's an absolute steal and it's basically on my doorstep, so it's someone I can actually go around and physically grab
or get to deliver,
or get to deliver to the house, yeah, I'm eBay for me. Yeah, it depends what it is. If it's cables and maybe peripherals, that kind of stuff, then maybe. But electrical goods, I don't know. It's a little bit of a tough one. So that is pretty much what I would suggest. I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to say in regard to. Oh, of course, yeah. Not Facebook. Amazon warehouse deals. Now, up until yesterday, or was it the day before? I'm not sure. They had 30% off all of their, well, not all, a lot of their Amazon warehouse deals. Now, some of you may have already picked up some of the bargains, which we've actually posted, myself and Kath posted on the community tab. We had the, I'm trying to think what we had. What do we have? I can't even think what we had now. Oh, we had the Gigabyte Aorus B450 Aorus Elite, which I managed to pick one up for £33, which was an absolute steal. It really was. I'm not going to go into details about the board. Some of you may have seen my other community tab posts on that particular instance. There is a video coming out which kind of, it goes through that in a little bit more detail and explains where I went wrong and how I went about remedying it. Sorry, there's a fly in here, it's driving me slightly insane. That was a great deal. It's turned out okay in the end. Yeah, you'll have to wait for the video on that one. It'll be out for patrons very shortly. But there's been some really, really good deals. Ugly Bob and all the other guys, Seam Night, etc., O'Reilly on the Discord are posting tons of deals which end up on there. Dave Aitken as well. Simon Arden, yes, definitely. So yeah, there are many, many deals to be had. I'm trying to think what the other one was. There was the power supply. Managed to get the power supply, the Sharkoon power supply, the 550 watt gold power supply for 20 quid. 20 quid for a gold rated 550 watt power supply. Come on. Like, at that price, why would you buy anything else? There is no point. For most moderate systems, 550 is more than enough. Gold rated, Sharkoon's a decent brand, etc, etc. 20 quid for a power supply. So you think, we've got our 20 quid power supply, we've got our £33 motherboard, we've got our £150 processor. Those are some of the more expensive things that you would buy. And we paid basically nothing. What we at? Kind of 100 and... hang on, what do I say? £20, £35, yeah, £200 for a processor, a motherboard and a power supply. That's insane. That is insane levels of performance. And if you don't want to go that high up, you can always go for the cheap boards. We picked up those A320M-H motherboards. The, was that Gigabyte as well? Can't remember if it was or not. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, I think that was Gigabyte as well. 20 quid for a little A-class board. Again, if I'd have known about the Aorus Elites after, I probably would have bought 2 of those instead. But for 20 quid for a motherboard, it's madness. There are some really, really good deals out there.
And that little webcam.
Oh yeah, the webcam as well. The webcam was a great deal. That's like £13 for a webcam. And it's not that far off the C920 in terms of performance. So there is definitely some savings to be had out there. And hopefully some of you guys have actually enjoyed it. The headset as well, of course. Yeah, the headset was great. So just looking through your chat here. Yeah, it seems that you... yeah, Kev2427 says, buy the 3600 from CEX, then use the money you save to buy the 212 cooler. Sorted. Exactly. The performance difference between a Ryzen 5 3600 with a stock cooler and a Ryzen 5 3600 with an aftermarket cooler is night and day. And also, if you're slightly susceptible to noise, it's a massively great investment, so you can't go wrong. Fred Brown says, video cards on eBay are pricey. Yeah, they are. Geordie General says, I have the B450 Elite as well. I had it for over a year now. It's been great for me. It's just, I've been honest with you, the B450 Aorus Elite, when I had it, I used it with a Ryzen 5 2600, which was a pretty much middle-of-the-road processor. It's never going to tax the board in any way. And I actually tried it with a Ryzen 7 1700X, which is first-gen Ryzen. Not really much power efficiency taken into account because of where it was at the time in the market. And it ran absolutely brilliantly. I've got no qualms whatsoever recommending it for a 8-core chip at all. Brilliant board, absolutely brilliant. And for the money, come on, like £33. I know Dave picked one up for slightly more. I think that was about £40, £44. But even still, less than 50 quid for a decent level board like that is great. Irie Wolfman says, #1 sold PSU on Amazon was rated 80 watt gold, but Gamers Nexus found out it's barely bronze, it's white label, so never buy unknown brands. Yeah, actually, funny you should mention that. This week I've been looking into that. The Ares Power, was it? Or Ares Power? That was there was APK and APH or APM. It's a very unusual story behind that power supply. Because I actually went onto the Clear Plus site, which is where the 80 plus ratings are actually done and stored. And the Ares Power, whatever it is, their power supply achieved an 80 plus gold rating in the US. But they released another version in the UK with a slightly different model number, still with the 80 plus gold label on it, but there's no certification. But the American version has a switchable voltage between 110 and 230. So I think they've got the 80 plus rating for America, but because it ships to both the EU and the US, they've kind of said, well, that's right, we'll keep the rating, because in theory, UK power is more efficient anyway, because 230 volts rather than 110. The translation efficiency is better. So in theory, yes, it would be better than the US version, but they haven't officially gained that certificate. So yeah, it's a little bit of an odd one, that one. Yes, Kath?
Nick Barnes' question.
Nick Barnes' question. Question, Mike, you had a B450F gaming board fail. Would it make sense to buy motherboard as spare while they are low cost? Yeah, definitely. The B450F, the Strix gaming board, I cannot believe how badly that failed on me this week. I've had it here. I did the unboxing back in March, I think it was, and literally since March it's kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to use this for. And some of you probably remember at some point it was actually there on the side, just being used as a display piece. And I finally got around to using it after doing BIOS updates and all that kind of stuff on it. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, I was just using the computer, installing Windows, doing some tests, benchmarks, etc. in a build. And all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on, why have I got no internet? This is weird. And for some reason, the board lost the gigabit Ethernet, but also managed to inherit Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which the board doesn't have. They don't make a B450F Gaming Dash 2 with Bluetooth and wireless. But yeah, I went into the BIOS and suddenly there it was. I could turn it on or off. It didn't appear in Device Manager, as the Ethernet didn't either. And I do not know how that happened. So I tried all the usual things. I flashed the BIOS newer, still the same. I tried then to flash the BIOS back to an older BIOS, like the original release, and still no Ethernet. So I do not know what happened there, but it does use an Intel Ethernet chip, which is known to have issues with some boards. So anyway, it's wrapped up, ready to go back. So we'll keep you posted how that goes. But yeah, it was very, very, very strange. I'm not too sure how that's worked out. Brown egg, Fred Brown, Mike, do you have Newegg Shuffle over there? I don't. Well, there is a Newegg UK store, but from what I can tell, the postage prices are absolutely ridiculous. The actual component prices are pretty decent, quite competitive. But shipping prices, for some reason, are just absolutely crazy. Whether it comes from the US or I don't know how it works out. But yeah, the prices are extremely dear. Like, I think I looked at a Rosewheel case. I think Rosewheel was one of those Newegg type things. And the case was about £30, and it was a nice case. But then they wanted about £65 shipping. I was like, that doesn't quite work out. Very strange. Ugly Bob says, I use a B450 Aorus Elite with a 3600, no issues at all. Yeah, it's a great little board. I don't like the RGB setup on it. The RGB is a bit weird. It looks nice and there's lots of options, but it's, I don't know what it is. There's something bizarre about the Unicorn Puke wheel. It's very kind of, it reminds me of an old game on the Mega Drive, Duck Shoot. And it's got those colours that go around and it's very separated. It's not a very smooth fade. Could have been just me. Anyway, moving on.
George is asking, are you going to show us how to assemble it?
George is asking.
I assume that board.
I'm not in this video. Won't be. There is an upcoming video where. Have I done the build in that?
You've done the build in that.
Did I? I've done the unboxing. I don't think I filmed the build, did I, at all?
No, you didn't film.
Because it went all wrong. Yes. I will be, yeah, the motherboard that we've got, the one that we're talking about, the B450 Aorus Elite, the PC is built and I've been testing it to make sure the board was okay, etc. So there probably will be a build video because I'm very tempted to strip it all down and start again. Now that it's all working, just to go through and make sure that it is as it should be. So I don't look like an idiot and say, oh, it doesn't work at the end. So yes, I might strip that down and start again. We'll see, I'm not too sure. I have done a very similar build with the same parts in another case, which will be coming out shortly, so yeah. There will be some build videos. I think there's about 3 or 4 build videos actually in the backlog already waiting to go out. It's actually difficult when there's so many videos actually in the pipeline waiting to come out. It's difficult remembering what I've done kind of like a month ago to see what is going on.
John's going.
Cheers, John. Robert says Asus and Gigabyte B450 weren't the best. No, I would say it's a difficult one. Depends what you want from a board. If you're looking for pure all-out VRM performance and overclocking, then the B450, really the crown went to MSI with the Carbon Wi-Fi and the Tomahawk, obviously, and those kinds of boards. But they did lack features, which I said when I did the B450 Tomahawk review. It's a really nice board. It's got pretty much everything you want on there, but it didn't have things like USB Type-C front panel headers. I don't think it even had a USB-C on the back. I can't remember now. And it had the old RGB, which, honestly, I know a lot of you out there, oh, RGB, yeah, whatever. The amount of emails and comments and questions I get saying, Mike, I've got this Tomahawk board, where do I plug in my addressable RGB? It's like, you can't. They're like, but yeah, it says it supports Mystic Sync. It does, but only for 12 volt RGB, not for 5 volt RGB. And people, especially around that era, maybe a year ago, had a really, really hard time making the kind of grasping basically the RGB technology between the 12 volt and 5 volt and how they're not compatible, even though, like Asus boards, they say we support Aurora Sync. So you get something else which, like a 5 volt addressable RGB strip, which says it's compatible with Aurora Sync. It is, but only if you've got a 5 volt header, not a 12 volt header. So yeah, there was a lot of issues with the B450 in that regard. That is one of the reasons why I like the Aorus Elite, because it has both. It's got the 12 volt and it's also got the 5 volt. So depending on what you buy, pretty much guaranteed it's going to work with it, which is really, really good. O'Reilly says, is Duck Hunt on the NES? Yes. I know, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, yes. Duck Hunt on the NES looks almost identical to the RGB Rainbow Puke on the Aorus Elite, it really does. Kizarat says, at this point workstation GPUs seem to be more appealing. A second-hand NVIDIA Quadro P2000 will perform on par with an RX 570 and only uses power from the motherboard. And that's pretty cool. Workstation professional GPUs also happen to be the only GPUs readily available stock and sold at their MSRP price. Yeah, that is very true, very true. Kenny D says, hi Mike and Kath. John O says, cheers everyone, off to a barbecue supper. Oh, lovely. Jamie352, thought on Corsair SL120 fans. I've got to be honest with you, Corsair has been one of those brands which I've always, I wouldn't say I've avoided, but they've always been one of those things that have just been on the periphery to me. I don't like IQ. I don't enjoy that whole setup. Now, if you've got a Corsair case, Corsair fans, Corsair keyboard, mouse, headset, a lot of Corsair stuff, obviously, yes, it makes total sense because it is a really, really nice ecosystem and it works very well together. But if you're buying a Corsair product and then combine it with other things that you've already got, like your MSIs, Asus, Gigabyte, ASRock, etc., it's then really difficult to get it all to play ball nicely together. And then you've got all these different RGB softwares which all want to do their own thing. It's all taking resources. It's just a real pain in the ass. It really is. That is some of the reasons why I don't always like using off-brand components, because it is, unless you're just happy having unicorn puke on your desk, which some people are. I just looked, actually, that picture on the screen looks very weird. Oh well, okay, whatever. We'll live with it. Yeah, it's just, there's so many different softwares out there. So actually a really good point in that, AOC, monitor manufacturer, they are now stepping their toes into the world of peripherals. So there's a keyboard, a mouse, and a mouse mat, all of which support RGB, and they've got their own Agon software and G Suite, which is from AOC. And it's just another RGB suite. Now, I haven't looked into it a great deal, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to integrate or play ball with IQ, Mystic Light, RGB Fusion and ASRock's, whatever they are using these days. So again, it's going to be another one of those things where you're not going to get everything to sync up very nicely, or you've got multiple softwares, which is a real pain. Sorry about that. O'Reilly says, please don't say bad things and jinx my Asus ROG Strix B450 gaming, especially version 1. I think version 1's probably okay. I think version 2 is where the problems start. Tristan G says, I don't use RGB from manufacturers often, too much crap, and if you try to use multiple drivers from different manufacturers, you might find conflicts that cause errors. Yes, that is very true. OpenRGB is one of those things which is actually worth looking at. OpenRGB is basically one place where you can kind of amalgamate all your stuff together, and as long as you know what you're doing, you can get a pretty decent result. We might have to do a video on that at some point coming up. Kieran Atkinson says, Mike, you should do a full Sahara build. Actually, Sahara have just released a new case, the P44, which comes in about 4 different flavours. Micro ATX, ATX, Mesh and Glass. I think there's 4 versions, and I think there's 2 colours as well. So I might have to reach out to them and see what the deal is with that. Wild Bill says, I have just the IQ and the MSI Center. They seem to integrate okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I've not really tried. And what's that? Aletta says, this site says they have one free software that works with every brand of RGB, and that is whirlwindfx.com. I'll have to check that out as well. George Sunev says, would you say that AMD has heat issues? I think all processors do. It depends on what you're doing with them and what kind of loads you're subjecting them to. If you're subjecting it to kind of typical benchmarking loads like Cinebench, I don't think there's a processor on the market which doesn't get very hot, especially if this is kind of a semi-decent one. Cooling is always going to be an issue with PC stuff. It wasn't in the sort of early 2000s, I guess. It wasn't really until the AMD the AMD XP range came out, and people started getting into overclocking a bit, and then airflow and case design changed quite a lot, especially as well when we had the Pentium 4s out, which were very hot. And yeah, PC cooling changed dramatically. It went from a point where you'd essentially have a sealed case with maybe one exhaust fan, which is normally the power supply, whereas now, if you had a PC with just the power supply as their fan as an exhaust, it'd be a really weird setup, and I don't think there's many people that actually have a setup with that now. You'd have at least 1, 2, maybe even 3 fans as the kind of bare minimum. Robert says, my 5600X hits 50C max. Well, in a moment, my Ryzen 5 3600 there is water cooled, and it's currently it's running the stream and Windows and all that sort of stuff as well in the background, and it's currently just ticking over at 33 degrees C, which I'm pretty happy with. That is probably about 8 degrees warmer than the ambient temperature of the room. It's about 24, 25 degrees in this room. So yes, that is good, impressive. Fred Brown says, Mike, each day during the weekdays Newegg Shuffle has a raffle. Yeah, I think Newegg in the UK is really one of those things which kind of, it isn't a big thing. It's kind of like a really unknown brand, Newegg. I think it's only really probably people that watch YouTube videos, because obviously you see people like, you got your Jays, your Linus, Gamers Nexus, all that kind of stuff, who use Newegg, and probably what's his face with the teeth, Tech Deals. That's him. Thank you, Kav.
I know my tech people.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Newegg for the UK is very much one of those things, is the, yeah, it's not a thing really. Oh, you're all saying Dutch Jan's got 10 fans. Damir says, heat is not a problem. Zen 2 or Zen 3, power consumption is most important detail, or as lower power consumption, better under full load. Yep, I pretty much agree with that. While Bill says, I have 6 fans for the 4 DIMMs on IQ and 5 fans on the GPU on MSI Center. Barry says, what case does that computer behind you use? That,
Just answered.
yeah, TechWare VXR, which has actually been reduced all over the place to about £70. It's great. It really is great. It doesn't come with the fans that you can see that are in there. It comes as a bare case. So you got to bear that in mind. So that is going to add a lot to your price. Stuart Cleary is giving us €10 and says, cheers. Cheers, Stuart. Appreciate that. For those of you not sure what the hell's going on, when we get a super chat, Kath has to turn the lights off and the RGB light comes on.
My ass needs all the help.
And yeah, her ass does need all the help it can get, so all that up down action is very helpful. Mark Point says, hey Mike, hey Kath, how you doing? Thanks Bob. Oh dear. William Bodie says, Mike's unboxing reviews now too. That CPU cooler is the coolest I have ever seen. It is actually a patented design by Sahara Gaming. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Sahara Gaming, even to me, has always come across as being a budget Chinese brand, whatever. I'm not even sure where they come from, I've got to be honest with you. It doesn't bother me where they come from, as long as it's good quality. The cases though, always use thicker steel than even like your budget stuff, and even some of the mainstream stuff, like some of the Corsair, like the 220T, which is made from kind of, I don't know, fiberglass resin and bits of Baco foil. Sahara cases are very, very tough. They are very tough. So yeah, I would certainly consider, I actually do want the P4C4. I really do. And Nanini, if you're watching this, could do with one of those. But yeah, that cooler, it is the business, it really is. I do like it. At first when I saw it, I was like, oh God, this is gonna be a real pain in the ass. But actually it's worked out really well. The cables, or the pipes on it, are actually pretty short, so they don't take a lot of management. The fans are really good. The fans, I'm pretty sure, are a reworking of the EK Vardar fans. Like I wouldn't say a rip-off, because that's disingenuous to Sahara, but they actually did go to multiple companies and said, look, we want some fans, they have to be good. We're making an AIO, it's not a cheap thing, but it needs to be good. And the design they come up with, those fans, they are so heavy. I would say if you were to compare them, EK Vardar, the thermal tape tough fans, and what's the other ones that we had?
Pirate ones.
Yeah, the Pirate ones are based on the same technology, so they would be the same. But yeah, they are definitely heavyweight fans, so yeah. The Sahara EX360 is a great cooler, it really is, and I wish I actually got more use out of it, because the processor in there is only a 3600. It's not really taxing it a great deal. So, but it does work really well, and it looks great. I love the looks of it, I really do. Oh, a third of the price for a video card for the new X Shuffle, that's bloody good.
Can you give your opinion about current GPU market?
Can I give my opinion on the current GPU market? Yeah, it's effed. It is completely ruined. The current GPU market is shit. It really is. I know there's some of you out there who probably bought the 6600 XT. As I said that while Bill's just posted in there. 420 quid. And a GTX 3080 for 1050. I feel physically sick spending more than £300 on a graphics card.
You feel physically sick spending more than that on a card?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. I feel sick spending any money. When it comes to doing my tax return, that makes me do. I actually do feel rather faint. I don't like it. I don't like spending money where I don't really have to. I totally understand it. If you need a graphics card, you just pay whatever, and if you've got the money for it, hey, what the hell, do it. I'm really, really struggling. Even at the end of the RX 570 XT, kind of when they were coming towards the end in that December, on the run up to kind of pre-COVID times, even then you'd get a 5700 XT, which was the fastest card from AMD at the time, for about £330, which is their high-end card. And it hadn't been reduced massively. It had been reduced, but not hugely. And this wasn't like a crappy model, this was a decent model. So that's like a high-end GPU, whereas now you're paying a lot more than that for something which is kind of almost entry level. Now yes, the power and the performance is much better. I totally understand that. And actually I'd love to see somebody put in a 5700 XT against a 6600 XT. I can't imagine there's a massive deal between them, but it just seems, I don't know, they market it as a 1080p card, but it's bound to do 1440p because the 5700 XT does. Yes, Kath?
Is the Sahara discount still going? It says times.
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
I believe it is.
That much in.
Yeah, Aletta says I didn't like spending $429 for my 5600 XT in 2019. I was in the same position. I'm sure it was towards the end of 2019. I bought the Red Dragon, and it was delivered to somebody else's house by mistake. So eventually I got a refund on it. But I was like kind of, God, this is a lot of money for a graphics card. And then when I bought the EVGA RTX 2060 KO, that was like 270. And I was like, okay, it's going to be good for video editing because it's got that kind of weird chip in there, which has been a cut down from the 2070/2080. So it's productivity wise, it's going to be better. But still, 270 quid for that back then seemed mad. And then not long after, I bought the 2060 Super, which is in the PC behind me, I think. Yeah. And that I picked up for 250 a little bit later, before the COVID thing really kicked in properly. So 250 to £300, I think for me is pretty much the kind of the upper limit of what I'm prepared to pay. And I think there's probably a lot of people in a similar boat. If it wasn't for things like the furlough scheme in the UK and the, what was that check they had in America, Kath? You remember? Stimulus check. Yeah, the stimulus check. If it wasn't for the stimulus check and the furlough in the UK, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't spend as much on a graphics card. But it's because we had that sudden influx of money, it's like, oh cool, I got money, I'll buy something, which was the idea, to create a stimulus in the market. I don't know, I still feel very, very, very weird about spending lots of money on a graphics card. Even though, for me personally, video editing, the less time I spend editing and rendering, the more other things I can do. So I'm buying my own time back, in effect, and I can write off most of it as a business expense or offset it against tax, etc. So in theory, I could go and buy a £1,000 graphics card, and it's great because it's just £1,000 in tax that I can take off of something else. So, but it just, I don't know, it just makes me feel very uneasy spending that much money on a graphics card. And especially then, if I do the unboxing, I take it all apart, and I've got the heatsink all over the place, I've got RGB wires disconnected here, there and everywhere, and I'm there prodding with my stubby fingers into the RAM chips. That's £1,000 worth of graphics card potentially I could absolutely nerf with these little digits. That makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. With the £200 graphics card, it's still going to hurt. It's still going to hurt like hell. But £200 you can be like, oh, well that was a lesson learned. But £1,000 is insane. It really is. Yeah, wow. It is insane, it really is. I still like the, I think the GTX 1070 on the used market at the moment is definitely the sweet spot for 1080p stroke 1440p gaming at moderate frame rates. If you're going a step down from that, I think the RX 580 and the GTX 1060, 3GB and 6GB, again, those are at the moment your sweet spots. If you don't want to spend an absolute ton of money and you want to wait and kind of see how things pan out, those are the cards you want to be waiting for. So 1070, definitely, you cannot go wrong with a 1070. If you're spending somewhere between 175 and 250 for it, you're in about the right figures. Possibly that might go up a little bit depending when you're watching this, but if you're buying one right now, around about £200 will be your sweet spot for a 1070. And it's still a good card, it really is. If you're looking at paying about somewhere between 100 and 150, that's going to give you 1060, 1060 6 gig and RX 580 if you're lucky. And at those prices, I'd feel comfortable buying it. In fact, the RX 580 has always really been a kind of £150 card. Even from the day it was launched, it was always that kind of, that is how much I think people should be spending on it. So I'm going to have a drink a minute. I have a frog in my throat. Tim says, I would love a 3070 Ti, but I'm not paying a grand. Yeah, I'm the same. There's no way. I would really struggle. Even if someone like Zotac reached out to me and said, Mike, we've got a review card, it's come back, we'll do you a deal on it, it's a 3090 and you can have it for 800 quid or something. I would still be like, I don't think I can do that, gents. Thanks for the offer, but I don't think I can do it. Because it just seems like an obscene amount of money.
Tristan's off.
Thanks, Tristan. See you later. Ugly Bob says, I wish I bought a 1070 when I had the chance for my second PC. Yeah, the 1070 is a great card. I know guy near us who's been selling them. I know that one of the guys on our Discord picked one up off him and he's got it today and he's over the moon with it. Got a really good price on it as far as I know. So yeah, 1070 is definitely a great card. It really is. There's not really anything that you can't play on it. And you've still got things like the NVENC encoder, so if you're streaming or video editing, it just chugs along. 8 gigs of RAM as well, so slightly larger frame buffer, especially when you look at it against things like possibly the RX 580 4 gig, which kind of has got a nice bit of power to it, but that 4 gig buffer is going to hurt in some instances. Again, depends what you're playing and editing. Kieran Atkinson says, damn right, all over the moon with it. Also,
what did you say?
I don't know, I said that completely wrong. Ugly Bob says, I'll have to get the details for that guy. Yeah, no worries, Bob. Honestly, he is an absolutely super sound guy. I bought loads of graphics cards and RAM off him in the past and present. Highly recommended. Which is another good way of getting secondhand stuff from trustworthy people. Go with people that you've recommended or you've known in the past and what have you. It does kind of eliminate some of that fear factor, it really does. Mark Berry says, I haven't looked at GPU prices for months, but out of curiosity I looked on eBay for a Sapphire RX 570 and their prices have come down a little bit. Some of them have. I think the RX 470 and the 570, they've definitely dropped off a little bit, and there is expected to be a massive influx of RX 470 cards at the moment. There was some crazy amount in China which were impounded because of the whole mining thing, and they've just been released back to the original owner, and they're not going to be doing mining with them. So there is something like 200,000 RX 470 cards which are going to be suddenly flooding the market, which we had the same thing happen probably about a year and a half ago, maybe slightly more, slightly less, where there was a guy on eBay who was selling RX 470s and 480s and some 570s as well, I think. Similar sort of deal. There were absolutely boatloads of them, literally hundreds of thousands of these cards. And they were on UK Hot Deals being posted kind of every other day because they would send a load out. Obviously, there's going to be some failures, so they'd all come back, they'd check them out, put them back on, and it just went in like a conveyor belt for about a month where there was all these cards just being recycled and churned out. And I think that'll happen again in the next couple of weeks. Pero says, just don't buy a gigabyte power supply. Yes. For now, avoid. Fred Brown says it's 500k 470s. Right, okay, so yeah, 500,000 RX 470s. So you know for a fact that they're going to end up either on AliExpress or someone's going to just buy up a load of those. 500,000 graphics cards. 500,000. That's a lot of graphics cards. That is going to fill a massive void in the market, hopefully. And if they come out, what, if RX 470, if you could pick one up for £75 these days, I think most people would probably snap them up. Mark Mako says, I picked up a Sapphire RX 570 for 45 quid on eBay. That's a fantastic deal. For 45 quid, an RX 570 is an absolute beast of a card for that money. And if you look at it this way as well, if you're considering maybe the 3400G or perhaps a 4650, maybe a 5600G, you probably are better off getting RX 470 and the kind of lesser CPU, or better CPU but lesser price, although they're similar prices. But I would definitely, all day long, if someone said to me, right, I've got a 4650G or you can have a 3600 and an RX 470, I'd be all over the RX 470 because it's going to absolutely be night and day difference between the Vega 8, I think it is, or is it Vega 7 that's in there? Yeah, it's a no-brainer, it really is. So yeah, hopefully those cards are going to come out on the market and we'll get to snap up some. I'm sure we'll end up seeing a load of them here. William Bodie says, China don't make many GPUs now, but want to build a spaceship bigger than the ISS. No. Good luck with that. James Miscellaneous, how you doing? Says, don't buy any computer parts unless you have to. Who cares about Alder Lake, Zen 4, DDR5, X670, etc, etc. What's the sense in buying a high-end machine if you can't make a sensible GPU purchase? Yep, I totally wholeheartedly agree with that. I would much prefer these days, and actually I get a lot more enjoyment out of it. If I had to build a new PC and I was given the choice of a 5950X and a 3070 and a couple of £1,000 budget, it would be like, it's nice, it's fast, but it's a heck of a lot of money, a ridiculous amount of money. Whereas if someone said to me, Mike, there's a 1070, 2600, nice motherboard, nice case, and you've spent probably £600–700, I'd be like, yes, that is a nice little gaming PC. I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to use it, and I'm not going to feel guilty, or I'm not going to feel privileged, or I'm not going to feel that I've overspent, which is always, buyer's remorse is a terrible thing. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Potentially it's going to get worse. TSMC are going to be making NVIDIA graphics cards again rather than Samsung. So TSMC are making a lot of room for NVIDIA. You've also got other things happening over at TSMC where things aren't going quite to plan. They've already estimated that they're going to have to scale back some of their allocations. Also, RAM prices have gone up. It's like 75% for GDR6. So that's going to increase prices.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
No. Thanks for asking. So TSMC, if you don't know, are probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest manufacturer of silicon stuff in the world. So if they're struggling, everyone's going to struggle. So let's go back to the perfect storm which we are about to encounter. So for those of you that are not aware, if you've been living under a rock for the last few months, there's a new thing called Windows 11. Like it or hate it, it's a thing. It's going to happen. We will, essentially, most of us will be directly affected by it. Me personally, because there's a very strong chance I'll be doing how-tos on how to fix this, how to fix that, basically how to use it, which is, that's the kind of the bread and butter of the channel. It's coming out on October the 5th. So a month from today. Well, a month and a day. So that is going to be fueling new PCs. There's going to be... there's a ton... Sorry, I'm looking at a picture that someone's posted on Discord that Gav's showing. There's going to be a lot of companies, a lot of individuals that just want their new shiny PC. Whether it's a laptop, PC, server, whatever. They want their new shiny thing with their Windows 11 and they want it on October the 5th. And if they're that sort of person, they don't really care about how much it costs. So someone somewhere is going to be building that PC for that person. So that's going to take a load of stock. So they've probably got their Windows 10 machine already, it's very likely, but they're getting another machine. So that old machine, chances are, is going to get passed on to someone. It might get sold off into the used market. If it does, great, fantastic. But it's unlikely it will do for a short while they're transferring stuff over, working out if they like it, etc, etc. So there's going to be a glut in PC sales. Also, Perfect Storm Part 2, we've also got, obviously, people still working from home. Potentially the thing which has been happening around the world. We're going into those darker months, colder months, the normal season where people tend to get the thing which is going around, which we won't mention. So people were going to be working from home. Those that have been in the offices might start kind of going back to home because of the things going on. So again, we're going to have that demand for PCs again. So we've got the Windows 11 demand. We've also got the working from home demand. We've also got a shortage in silicon and chips from the manufacturers. On top of that, we've also got the shortages in the automotive industry as well. So that is going to take some precedence because obviously people need cars, people need to get around, people need to be able to deliver goods, etc. So you have to take that into consideration also. Then on the flip side of it, you've also got Windows 11 doesn't run on every PC. You do need to have a certain level of PC. So if there are organizations, which there are going to be loads of them out there, which are running slightly older hardware and are forced into an upgrade path, there's going to be a ton of machines sat somewhere in someone's warehouse, which have come from a hospital or a business, some multinational. There's going to be a couple of 100,000 PCs which are going to get replaced. Those aren't going to hit the second-hand market for a while. And that demand, you get massive orders, people like Dell, HP, that kind of thing, Acer, they're going to get or have already got these huge orders that they need to fulfill. So they're concentrating on the orders because they've already taken money for them most likely, or part payment. So we're running into this winter season. Also as well, then we have to bear into mind that we've got Black Friday, we've then got Thanksgiving in the US, we've then got Christmas and the Christmas sales. So between kind of now, today, and arguably up until January, and the January sales, etc.
4 months.
4 months, where things are going to get very, very scrappy. And I've already seen it already. Prices on Amazon, say processor prices are going up and up and up. Anything popular, 3600, 5600. Most AMD motherboards are coming down in price because manufacturers are seeing, they're thinking, right, this is the next part of the perfect storm, which I've not even mentioned yet, which is going to be an even bigger kick in the balls. We've got the new Intel chipset coming out and DDR5 RAM. And the flip side of the new year, we've also got AMD's new chipset, new motherboards, new processors. So again, AMD, Intel not so much because they've got their own fabs, but AMD specifically, they've put in their orders already for AM5 processors to be manufactured. And also they would have manufactured the chipsets for the motherboards. Those orders are waiting to be fulfilled. So obviously there's massive, massive pressure on the industry to make more processors. And they just can't keep up. All it's going to take is for Taiwan to have another drought, any natural disaster, the thing which has been going around for the last 18 months. If anything kicks into any serious high gear, PC market is effed, completely effed. So that is why really I've been whittering on tonight about buying used. For me, you may or may not agree with me. Honestly, I don't care. It's entirely up to you, it's your own opinion. I think from a environmental side, it makes sense to buy used because you're not adding to that demand for new products. You're recycling, so something which potentially is unlikely is going to go to landfill, but hey, you never know. Depends how far or how low down the recycling chain you are. There's going to be PCs which are running old Intel i3s, i5s from the 300, 400, possibly even the 7000 series, which will end up getting skipped. Inevitably it happens. Someone somewhere with more money than sense is going to be like, right, I can't put Windows 11 on this, and they'll leave it outside their front door for the bin men to take away. It happens. It definitely happens. And people with older systems, maybe it's like an Intel i3 2120, and a super old chip now, but certainly for someone working at home, scrolling through the internet, maybe firing a few emails off, absolutely fine. Things like that aren't going to run Windows 11. So that, again, is a box. Someone's going to look and go, well, I've had it 5-10 years. It isn't worth anything to me. Again, outside on the front door waiting to be skipped. Some of them will get sold. But that is what I mean. These are the times now we have to play it really carefully. If we go into the market headlong, the people running the markets know what is going on. They clearly do. And they're going to look at the demand. They know that Christmas and Thanksgiving and Black Friday and all those things are coming out. They know that Windows 11 is coming around the corners, and there's going to be people on the 5th of October who hit that upgrade button and the PC says, computer says no.
Will mine say that because I want it to?
Yours will say that.
Oh, brilliant.
So that is where we're going to be. There's going to be a demand. Retailers know this. Prices are starting to increase already. The prices that are going down are motherboards, because the manufacturers know that AM5 is around the corner, the new Intel chipset's around the corner. So they're going to be stuck with a ton of motherboards and potentially some processors which are effectively obsolete, for want of a better word. So the smart shopper now is going to be cheap motherboard, cheap power supply, maybe a used processor, maybe a new one if you can get one. But I think that is the way to go. It really is. If you compare prices as well, you build a mid-range gaming PC, price it up now, PC Part Picker, I would guarantee with a decent graphics card you're not going to get a build done which is of any good for less than £1,000 here in the UK. Probably $1,200 in the US. You go into the used market, like I said earlier, £35 motherboard, £150 processor, 20 quid power supply, that's 200 quid. You've then got X amount of money for your storage, maybe £100 for a decent bit of storage, maybe another 100 for some RAM, so what we're at 400. You could spend £200 on a 1070 or £300 on something a little bit higher, maybe a 57 XT, and you've got yourself a really decent PC, and you're not spending a massive amount of money, and you're not fueling the whole kind of environmental thing. So there's definitely some things to think about. I'm going to look at the chat now and see if you guys actually agree in any way, shape or form. Again, it's entirely up to you guys. It really is. But I'm just saying where I think the value segment is. And I'm selling PCs at the moment. There's definitely a demand. People are coming, I want a gaming PC. I need an office PC. This PC is getting a bit old. What can you do? And the used bargains are making a lot of sense right now. If I went to buy a new PC, look at the 3000G processor. Granted, most of you would never look at that in a million years, but there's going to be someone out there who's like, I just want to do some word processing, I want to get my emails, I want to pay my taxes, I don't need anything flash.
I don't want to wait 3 hours for it to shut down.
Yeah, I don't want to wait 3 hours for the PC to shut down and do Windows updates. I just want something to replace it. You can build a system with a 3000G, a full system with a monitor for about 250 quid. I've done it this week. 24-inch monitor, nice little PC, 16 gigs of RAM, 3000G, in a nice case, decent power supply, 250 quid. How can that not make sense? Or you could go to PC World and say, right, I want a PC. What do you want to use it for? Oh, I just want to do some emails and spreadsheets and stuff. Right, you need this 8-core monster. How much is this? £15,000. Got anything cheaper? It's madness. Stefan Cruitt says, I don't agree with going used. Tell me why. Give me a good reason why not. And if you do, I will counter that reason immediately. I'm on a roll now. I'm fired up.
Okay, Rich Abba.
Kenny D says, I agree with going used. Thank you, Kenny. Honestly, to be honest, disagree with me. I love the challenge. I really do. Genuinely, disagree with me. Give me good reasons why you wouldn't go used.
Right, off topic.
Yes, Kath.
Seagate or Western Digital?
Seagate or Western Digital? Probably Seagate. I think Seagate. Most companies, don't forget, guys, girls, companies are companies. They are not your friend. They do not like you. They do not care about you.
They want your money.
They just want your money. They don't care about anything. Most companies are run by the accounts department and the bean counters. The executives in charge are the ones making and taking your money. So don't be under any illusion that they like you, they even respect you. They don't even want to know your name or anything. As long as you're still buying their products, doesn't matter. Despite what they may say, or we're the gamer's friend, or we champion this, or we're donating money to this charity, they're not doing it because they like doing it. They're doing it because they are buying your attention, or they are buying your loyalty. When in reality, they don't care. And if you get a problem with your PC, actually, this is a good one. I found this myself this week. If you're buying a motherboard, some of you out there, let me know in the chat. I do want to see this. If you're buying a motherboard, which motherboard manufacturer would you go with for the best support? That is going to be a hard one to answer. And if you've got a good reason why, please, please, please do let me know in the chat right now. Because I've used what I would consider to be every motherboard manufacturer on the planet, for mainstream at least, and all of them suck at support. Every single one of them. Although,
Improving the CD keys.
yeah, but they don't make motherboards.
Oh, sorry.
They're very good. Motherboard wise, actually, I'm telling a slight lie. I haven't bought an EVGA motherboard, so that potentially could be an outlier. And if you've bought an EVGA motherboard and you've had dealings with their support, let me know. Are they great? Go on.
Ugly Bob said get second-hand parts and get a free kitten.
Bob. No kittens. Aletta says companies only care about making shareholders happy and the bottom line. That is exactly what it is. Companies do not care about individuals. They don't care. They probably don't even care about companies. They probably make these deals with other companies, and they, like InWin as a prime example, possibly they were dealing with ASRock, and they were doing some themed cases. You can guarantee that they're not doing it for the customer's benefit. There's probably something along the lines of, oh, let's try a cooperation and see if we can squeeze more money out of people. That's probably what it comes down to. It's not like, well, we've got a nice design, you've got some really nice cases, let's stick our design on your case and give it some Phantom Gaming logos, and yeah, that's going to be great. I don't think the customer is what they had in mind. I think it's just like, oh, this is something new, let's try that. Markovsky says, last year's chips and motherboards run great and come with cover. Last year's used tech is sold as seen. There is that. Well, yeah, not always. Again, it depends where you go. That is the thing. What I said earlier in the stream about buying used, if you buy from CEX, you get a 2-year warranty, which is better than you get from most shops buying new. So in terms of buying used parts, the warranty side of things, arguably, yes. But it depends where you're buying. If you're buying off a guy down the street, clearly warranty-less, unless there's a transferable warranty on the goods you're buying, which is getting more and more rare these days. But yeah, go to CEX. Get yourself a 2-year warranty. You cannot go wrong. Let's see what you guys are saying. So, Stefan says, yeah, but you know I'm spoiled. Okay. Where are we? Marcin says, in Poland you can buy a used Mobo with CPU and 16 gigs of RAM for i7 8th gen for 1,400 ZL, so it's very cheap. I'm not sure what that translates to, but I think that does sound quite cheap. Western Digital drives are awful. They're always packing up. Yeah, Western Digital, I think, didn't Western Digital get bought up by... I thought it was Seagate? Because I think there's like two main companies now. Because you've got Maxter, which were bought up by... Actually, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. But there's only real... I think there's only two real hard disk drive companies now. Riley says, Western Digital for me, but I have used Seagate after sales warranty and it's rather good. I've got one... There is a Seagate drive that I have here, and it's I'm actually saying a lie. Bear me a minute, caller. I'm going to check this before I say anything I shouldn't. Did I throw it out already? Oh, yeah, it's not in there. What have we done with that?
What is it you're looking for?
The hard drive. I think I chucked it out
It
already.
would be up there, and that's to post out stuff. Mind your wire.
Mind my wires. Sorry about that. So I've got two drives in the house at the moment which have failed. One of which is this one, a Seagate Barracuda. This is a 3GB drive. This one was actually manufactured in... I can't see actually.
Do you want me to read it?
I think it's encoded so you can't tell.
That's just your eyesight.
Yeah, the date code is 14242. So, don't know, that's whatever that is. So that one has, well, it's not failed, but it just clicks. You can format it every now and then and it was fine, and then it starts clicking and it won't be read. So technically it's failed. The other one was actually from Seagate themselves. They sent it to me for review for the NAS drives we were doing. And they sent two drives, and one of the drives they said, look, we don't know the history of this drive. We basically found it on the floor in the warehouse, but it's the only other one we had which was a matching pair. So we'll send it to you, no guarantees. And I kept it for ages until I got the NAS to review. And literally the day I put it in the NAS drive, the drive was clicking because I didn't test it. And I went onto the Seagate's RMA site and literally it was 1 day outside of warranty. 1 day! I was so gutted. That's like, it was a Seagate, what's their professional ones? The Iron Wolf Pro. And it was literally 1 day out of warranty. I was gutted, absolutely gutted. And that's like, at the time it was £100 to replace. £109 I think I paid. So I bought a replacement and yeah, touch wood. Those are running absolutely fine in my NAS at the moment. I've got 3 of them in there and 4 4TB drives, and yeah, they've been absolutely brilliant. So that isn't Seagate's fault per se. I do appear to have a higher failure rate with them, but I think that's because I've had more of their drives.
What about Toshiba drives?
Toshiba, that was the one, because I think Samsung and Toshiba were working together because there was a brand which was like TSST or something, which is Toshiba. Or was it Seagate? There was a couple of brands which amalgamated and it got really confusing. Hitachi as well. Yeah, HGST. Hitachi something storage technologies, and yeah, Hitachi Group, that was it. And they kind of all intermingled, so I don't know. Matthew Day says there, yeah, HGST, that's the one. Thanks guys. Dice Air said the same thing as well. It's actually interesting because Synology have actually started making their own hard drives. I'm pretty sure they're Seagate drives, rebadged, but still, they seem to be good drives. Toshiba drives, generally I think they're pretty okay. I've not had a massive experience of them recently, so it's difficult to tell. Although I'm actually saying that, does Toshiba do the P300 drive? So if so, I've got one of those somewhere. That's been alright. Bit noisy, but it's fine. Markovsky says Maxter, lol. Oh, there's a lot of drives around. Wild Bill says years ago Seagate used to give a lifetime warranty. That's right. Rogue One says HGST was bought by Western Digital, I think. So that's maybe where I was getting confused. It was a while back. Kieran Atkinson says I get screwed over by ADATA SSDs often. The only Rogue One says, yeah, the P300 was from Toshiba. Yeah, P300's drive's been great. The P300 drive, I've dropped that many times off this desk. Many times. So many times that Kath has forced me now. Glass side panels and hard drives, I've always got to put them somewhere safe.
But you never did.
But I never do.
I
Ah,
don't mind
dear.
about hard drives, but glass is scaring me.
Yeah, that is very true. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I've only had 2 SSDs fail. And both of those were OCZ, which no longer exists. Although technically OCZ got bought up by somebody else. And then I'm thinking it was like something like Kioxia. They bought them up. And Kioxia is like a sub-brand of some other company. Very confusing. George Sonoff says, I bought a 5TB Seagate One Touch. Have you seen them? Yes, I think I have actually. They're pretty good. Rogue One says, very nice conversation in community. It is. This is a great community. It genuinely is. There's 1 or 2 bad eggs which come along every now and then, but we soon get rid of those. Or at least Ghost Adder does. He's right on that. Matthew Day says, I shudder at how much my first rotating Rust cost me in the 486 days. Back in the days where we used to use compression to actually make the drives bigger and slower. Those were not good times.
Can we get 2 more likes to make Uggs happy?
Oh yeah. We're 1 like away from the magic number. Wait, there we go. We got it. James Hussein says, rip chunky weenie. Yes. Scott says, Kioxia is a NAND manufacturer. They are, but Kioxia, the brand, is part of or a rebranding of someone like Toshiba or someone like that. It's someone that I had drives from before, and it's like, oh, they've just been rebranded. It's the same thing. So I think, yeah. I'm pretty sure OCZ were bought by another company, and the company that bought them then became Kioxia, which is, I've got one of their SD cards, and it's just a sub-brand of, I'll have to find out. Private Hudson says, hi guys, how everyone is well, or hope everyone is well. Yeah, we're not too bad. Ugly Pop says, Ghost Adder is harsh but fair, lol. Yes, she is. O'Reilly says, I've not had an SSD fail yet. I have had one SSD Asano 2TB struggle to work as a single 2 gig partition. Seems to work fine as 6 300 gig partitions. Hugh Luttrell says, hi Mike and Kath. I think the smart build for next year should be rebuild updates. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. You know me. I'm a skinflint, I really am. Bargains, deals, saving money is where we definitely are. I don't like spending money. Literally, I've got a bathroom and a kitchen and carpet which are hanging. Literally hanging. There's the floor in the kitchen is literally, the tiles are snapped, broken. There's bits of tile coming out. George stood on one today, he's like, oh, there's a bit of effing metal on the floor. No, it's a little shard of tile. I don't want to spend money on it. I could quite easily just go out there and redo the whole lot, but I don't want to spend the money. Although saying that, we are waiting for the roof to get repaired because winter's come in, rain's come in, and I don't want it all to get wrecked again with the weather. So yeah, that's another story. That's going to hurt me. New kitchen and bathroom, that is going to be expensive. But I'm not doing it yet. O'Reilly says, how's the roof, Mike? At the moment, it's holding up and we've not had...
Too much rain.
The rain's not been bad.
We did have a really heavy...
We had a heavy storm.
And it held up again.
And it held up. At least it seemed to hold up. Hold up. It didn't seem to leak in the bathroom, so... Yeah.
But we're still waiting on a date.
But we're still waiting on a date. And actually, I think our roofer may have died or something, because I messaged him on the 11th of the 8th. I messaged him. Roof seems to be holding up okay. Looks like another storm is coming, so fingers crossed. Thanks again to you both for coming out on Saturday to help out. Much appreciated. It's like,
yeah,
no.
You need to say any chance
and
of
there's,
date.
yeah, but I replied to that the week before, and he's still not replied to that. So I think he is actually dead. Oh well. Never mind. Such is life. Or not. Ah, dear. Frags and Flashes says, at least the heat wave is coming. It is. It does appear to be. It's nice today. Fred Brown says, but Mike, you have a nice car. I do, and I actually used it today for the first time in ages. I got an MOT on Tuesday, so I figured I'd better take it for a quick drive, get the rust off the discs. Private Husband says, I just bought the NAS you had on, Mike, and put 2 6TB Western Digital drives in it. Well happy and would recommend it highly. Oh, awesome. Was that the little ASUS store? The AS1102T. I did like that. That was really good. O'Reilly says something nice and cheerful. Cheers. Remnants of Hurricane Ida might come our way, Mike. Get the buckets ready. And on that theme, Mark says, just finished my first water-cooled build. Now, this is where I go into a different tangent altogether, because all through this stream, and pretty much most of the videos, I'm always talking about saving money and value for money. I really want to do a water-cooled build. Today and yesterday, I was actually looking properly on Amazon and Overclockers UK and Scan here in the UK for a water cooling kit. I want to try a water cooling kit. One of those ones for dummies, where literally they give you the whole lot, a water block, a pump res combo, some flexible tubes, some fittings, maybe a crappy GPU block, some coolant dye, all that kind of stuff. I genuinely want to try one, but I always get to the point where, like, you can get the cheap crap ones for about 70 quid, which is basically a 240 AIO with a separate pump res combo. But I'm thinking, if I'm spending 70 quid, I might as well just buy a freezer 240mm. Because it ain't going to get much better than that, is it? Realistically. Or I'll just buy a D15 or one of the other Noctua coolers, or the Phantom Black from Gelid, which is about 55, 60. And it's going to do pretty much the same deal. So it's really like, oh, there needs to be a really good reason for me to do it. What is that? There's something moving over there. No?
I think it's me.
I think it might be the spider. Maybe the spider is actually going to reappear. Is that weather? Anyway, so yeah, I really want to do a water cooling kit, but for those of you out there that are into your water cooling, let me know what you would recommend as a simple, easy to use, and best of all, cheap. Are you flicking your toes or something?
Cats are eating.
There's something over in that corner. Being attacked.
What am I flicking my toes for?
I don't know. Women who do crazy things.
I've
So
flicked my toes.
let me know what your thoughts are on a water cooling kit. I looked at the Thermaltake one. Thermaltake do one, and it's kind of like all there, but it seems uber expensive. And I like my RGB. So see what you guys come up with. If you've got any decent links, either let us know in the chat or drop me an email, or in our Discord, just post them in there. I really want to try it. I really do.
Glenwick Russell flashed their drive
I was
yesterday.
just about to read that, yeah. Where are we? EK has those. Yeah, Glenwick says, I flashed my BIOS using your video yesterday. Thanks a lot. No problem. That's awesome.
And there's another one.
James Miscellaneous, I like that one. Yeah, do it, Mike. There's a lot of things that we as computer enthusiasts do that are not practical. We do them for fun. I really think that is something I want to do. I really do. Robert says, don't do that. Cheap loops are about as good as AIOs.
Daisy.
I'm not going to do it as in to get the performance, because clearly I know that a cheap setup isn't going to particularly provide a great experience. But I'm going to move my stuff because the cats are coming.
Oh, just Daisy.
It's only Daisy. Daisy, look at the camera. There she is, Daisy Cam.
Yeah, you're hungry, aren't you?
I know that it's not going to be cost effective, let's say, to do water cooling. I know it's not, but it potentially could look really nice. Now my problem is, because my PC behind already looks really nice, I'm gonna really struggle to make that look much better than it does already. In my opinion, obviously, it's my PC. You may like something completely different. I would like to see some tubes in there, if I'm honest. I think that would lift the thing a lot. Where the tubes would go in there, I'm not entirely sure. So I might need to do maybe a 280 in the top, I don't know. It's not going to look right in that case, which is the one thing which troubles me. Although physically you can fit 3 fans on the bottom, 3 fans on the top, and 3 fans on the back, you can't get a 360mm rad in all 3 positions, at least not the ones I've tried. So to get another rad in there, or 2 rads in there, is going to be awkward. So I'm not too sure I'm going to do that. I'm really not. Lord Poshning von Plumbing Parts. That's brilliant. Love the content, honest and down to earth. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Appreciate that, and I love the name. That's a great name. Lord Poshning von Plumbing Parts. Ah, there. That is a really good one. I like it. Oh, a bit blinded now. I'm gonna have to move that lamp. Where are we? Nick Barnes is asking if you needed, how would you add USB 2 port to ATX motherboard that only has one already used port? Are you on about the ones at the bottom for plugging in things like your front panel headers? Because you can actually get a splitter for those already. So it's basically like a T-piece. So you plug it in the 9-pin into the USB 2 header, and it just splits off into 2. So then you get 2 headers. You can get them on places like Amazon, eBay, all those kind of usual places. It's actually quite simple to do.
Oh, sorry, did I miss the lights?
You did. Kieran says they usually benefit the GPU the most. That is what I was looking at, a water jacket for my 5700 XT, which is probably not high-end enough a card to water cool, really. But then again, this isn't about sensible. This is about just doing something just for the sheer heck of it and to enjoy it. Maybe it's going to be a Christmas present to myself. Alessa says, I never liked the kits. I spent $1,200 for the 2 loops in my system. See, that is where it really terrifies me, because the components alone, like the fittings and stuff, they're so expensive for what they are. They really are. They do look nice, but I don't know. Matthew Day says there's more to go wrong with water. Yeah, clearly if I'm doing it, there's going to be loads more failure points, obviously. So yeah, that is going to be a difficult one. Frags and Flash says, have you done a review on the Cooler Master MF120 Halo 3-pack? No, I haven't. Kath, can you write that one down?
What's that, sorry?
The Cooler Master MF120 Halo 3-pack. We'll take a look at those. Thanks for that, Frags and Flashes. Rick says, I bought the AIO Be Quiet you reviewed, 120mm. Sorry, 240mm. Very nice. That was actually a good cooler, yes, it was. I've passed mine on to another person. Hopefully they're enjoying it as much as I did at the time. It was good cooler, actually, very quiet. Well, yeah, it's Be Quiet, it's bound to be. John Grammaticus says EK. Yeah, I did see EK do like a thing where you can plan out your system in bits, so I might take a close look at that. I need to do that. Robert says water cooling in cheap XD. I know, there should be, if you think about it, every single component in a water cooling loop is something which essentially can be made very, very cheaply. The fittings, like if you go to a plumbing store, if you don't mind the finish on them, you can get sort of, fittings for, even copper ones or brass fittings, you can get like a 10-pack of fittings for £3 or £4. It's not expensive. So if they come down to the actual materials, yes, it's going to be a little bit more. The finish on them, obviously, yes, that's going to be it as well. There must be a cheaper way of doing it. I'm actually tempted to go to somewhere like B&Q and custom make something that will fit onto some sort of decent block. I'm really tempted to do that. It's got to be a way of doing it.
Asks, when do you think GPUs will be back in stock?
When will GPUs be back in stock? I don't know. It's difficult to say. They do come into stock. Like here in the UK, we've got overclockers.co.uk who just, they've lost the plot. They've genuinely lost the plot. They are selling, they're scalping themselves. They're making extremely expensive graphics cards even more expensive. and they're still selling them because people want them. There's a demand for it. So they are in stock in places, and even this week we've seen 3060s going for about £400 in various places. They've sold out pretty quick. There are dribs and drabs of stock. It's not as if there's none available anywhere, but I think for it to get to the point where there's a constant rotation of stock and you're not seeing the sold out logos everywhere, I don't think it's going to happen before, I hate to say it, but I would say, I don't know. I did say earlier this year, I said that I expected by now for a lot of the problems to be over. And clearly I was completely wrong. And it's actually got worse, which we expected it to get better for the holiday season because of the lesser demand. Whether or not because of the Windows 11 thing that has had a bit of an impact on it, I don't know. But I thought prices would be semi-normalised by now. So I would put my hands up now and say, I didn't call that. I completely did that wrong. But yeah, I don't know. It could be another year until stuff is in stock on a regular basis. Easily. Could be even more. Could be 2 years. The way things are looking, the estimations, unless TSMC can get the authorization to build that plant and get it built and get it up to speed, then pretty much all our hopes are on them. So I can't see that being a quick thing. It's costing billions to build, literally billions. And they're only, I think at the moment, in the approval stage to actually get it built. So yeah, it's not looking good.
Stuart Cleary said use garden hose and Jubilee clips.
I am tempted. Garden hose and Jubilee clips for my water cooling loop, that is...
Can't you use IKEA table legs and Jubilee clips?
Yeah, if I could get the water flow through, I would. I am seriously considering using B&Q off-the-shelf parts for water cooling. I genuinely am. I'm sure I can do it.
Could you sort my kitchen sink out for a second?
Yeah, I'll do the kitchen sink. Because in the UK, we have this thing called micro bore, which is used for central heating, and it's basically like really thin tubes, which are flexible. And they look like they'll fit in G1/4 fittings. I could be completely wrong, but I'm tempted to take a look. Where are we? Stuart Cleary's €10 as towards Kath's car repairs. That's after I take out all the water cooling components in the car and put it into the PC. I actually repaired the horn today because my car stopped having the horn, so I had to go and replace it. Although it was just fuses, so that was all good, but it's all rusty inside because I'm not using the car.
That's how tight you are.
I am tight. Yeah, I'm so tight that I won't drive the car because it doesn't need it, and it ends up getting rust inside the fuse box where it condensates and stuff. Ah dear. Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate that. James Miscellanea says, yes, I feel like my 2060 Super is more important than my car. My 2060 Super gets more use than my car. For sure. 100%. Glenwick Russell says, I bought my Ryzen 3 3300X for about 164. In a week's time, a week on, it's 210 on Amazon. Yeah, it is. Prices are just insane. They really are. Kieran says, I reckon several years in regards to getting things back into a normal thing. Ben says, I was patient and got a 3070 for RRP. Patience is the key. It took me 1 month to get mine. Yeah, I think that is it. Patience is the thing. If you're desperate, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to overspend. If you can afford to make those mistakes, it's fine. Don't worry about it. That is in a capitalist society. I'm going to get political now, which I probably shouldn't, but I'll do it anyway. In a capitalist society, the theory is you can work hard and make lots of money. If you've worked hard and you've got lots of money and you want to buy something which is expensive or overpriced or more than other people who maybe haven't worked as hard for, then that is the benefit. That is why there's capitalism, because the people that do more can buy more and get more. it's not always the best way forward, but that is essentially how the capitalist market works. So there are ups and downs of it. If it's in a more communist way, things are a bit more tricky. Let's say. Lord Poshname von Plumbing Parts. I love that name, that is great. I was in the overclockers queue for a 3080, but binned them off because I don't think I'd ever got it. Had to source one from elsewhere, but paid a little bit more, but got a better card. Well, that's worked out in the end, doesn't it? William Bodie says, Oracle of Bristol, what do you recommend us do for the future with the F market now? I think, I think realistically, it's like I said, I just stick on the used market. It really is the best value. In terms of what you get for your money, if you're getting the deals in the right places, go with used. Whether it's Facebook Marketplace, whether it's CEX or places like that in the US, Amazon Marketplace. Really do keep an eye on Amazon Marketplace, because quite often there's companies which were just like, they've got a bunch of stuff and they're like, can we just clear this stuff? And they'll just put a crazy price on it just to get it going. It'll sell out like that. And it does happen. You have to be a bit patient and wait for the deals to come along. Obviously, we do post them in the Discord, which I know I keep on mentioning, but we do, and also on the community tab. But yeah, it makes sense. It's the way forward, in my opinion. It really is. Fred Brown says, Mike, have another beer and you'll be tighter. Actually, I could do with a beer. Can I have a beer, please?
What brand would you recommend for a good monitor?
What brand would I recommend for a good monitor? There's a lot of people have been asking me that recently. The monitor prices have gone up as well. I don't know whether you lot have been paying attention to the monitors. I know for most people it's outside of their scope of vision. Damn. See what I did there?
Green ass or blue ass?
Can I have some blue ass, please? Thank you. Monitor prices are getting more expensive. There are the odd occasional ones, again, end of lines or stuff like that. Yeah, should have really. Yeah, can I have glass, please? The monitors, I would say, if you're looking for value for money, AOC and probably Acer are where I'd be probably looking. If you're looking for performance, that is a really difficult one, because both brands do a performance range as well, like Acer do their Nitro range, AOC do the Agon range. But really performance-wise, most people would probably be looking at LG, possibly Dell to some extent. I'm hesitant to say Asus. They do make some nice monitors, but I don't think they're quite what they live up to be. It's the Asus tax, as always. William says, cheers, cheers. Hey, that was a good pour on that. Fair play. Thanks to Cosmic for sending me the ass. This is their summer ass. So while we've quickly got a little bit of summer, makes sense to enjoy some. That does look rather yellow. We'll do later. Philips, yeah, that's actually a good shape. Irie Wolfman. Philips makes some pretty decent stuff, actually. Philips is one of those brands which generally gets overlooked. I don't know whether it's because of their history of Philips TVs and Walkmans, and, well, not Walkmans because that's a brand name, but they're kind of cassette players and lady shaves and shavers, all that kind of stuff. They're one of those companies that really does diversify across a whole range of products. So when you're looking at a specific brand for like a high-end monitor, Philips is probably not one you'd think of. O'Reilly says, Asus monitors do not seem to be value for money in my research. No, I'd quite happily agree.
Could you do Squibbies?
Iliama, they're good. Cheers, everybody. You tried that, Kath?
No,
it's nice.
Thanks.
You'd like to go on, try it, it's nice. Good gear. Squibbies, where's Squibbies?
That's alright, it's only more of a statement.
Okay. Bass.
Trouble is, it's got green light in there.
Yeah.
Blue and green. See?
Fred Brown says, I like the LG IPS monitors. Yeah, they're pretty decent. Actually, this week I managed to pick up. Actually, I got some stuff on the desk I should be talking about as well. Actually, let's do the stuff on the desk first of all, so that makes a lot more sense. Let's do that. Sorry, I just read a comment on there and I almost lost my beer. Captain Meets Adventure says, Mike, can we talk Kenny G? Is Songbird by Kenny G the best music to build PCs? Yes, I would agree. Kenny G Songbird. Anything by Kenny G is probably good for that. The Songbird is a particular fave of mine. Can't beat a bit of Kenny G. Kenny G available for hire, ladies and gentlemen, at very discounted rates. I think, is he still alive? I hope so. This week we've been sent some cool stuff by various individuals. I'm not going to go through the whole lot because there's some other bits and pieces, but we should go through it. The first one is some RAM from a company called Kimtego. Now apparently, I might have to put the overhead camera on for that, if it's still actually working. Yeah, it is. Fair play. There we go. So Kimtego, apparently, from what I've been told, Kimtego, or Tego Electrical Company, are in the top 5 of all manufacturers of RAM in the world. Now, I've never heard of them. But apparently in China, which is pretty much where they come from, I believe, they are one of the biggest companies in China, from electricals and everything. So they sent us these to take a look at, and actually, considering what they are, as long as they're a decent price, these are actually pretty good. The metal heat sinks on there, really nice, very plain. We have no RGB at all. But we do have DDR4 3600, CL18 I believe, or CL... Weirdly it doesn't say. The actual documentation is extremely brief. So this is the Kimtego Wolverine. They've missed out an E, because obviously that would be possibly copyright infringement, but this is their Wolverine gaming memory, and on the back it just tells you the specs. Oh no, sorry, CL19 2020, so quite loose timings because they're massive in their region as it is, but they're looking at expanding, so I figured I'd give them a go, see what they're like. But you got 8-layer PCB, nice solid metal heat sinks on there, and hopefully they'll overclock like crazy. So anyway, that is the Kimtego. So we've got 2 sticks there, so 16 gigs. But yeah, a bit different. And it's nice not to have a bit of RGB for once.
Lord Portioning says, never heard of that RAM, but did like the British Racing Green ones.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got into trouble for the British Racing Green because they're not British Racing Green.
They're just racing.
They're racing, not British Racing. Also, our lifelong mouse supplier, Mr. Ugly of Bobness, also sent us this. This is the Red Dragon, the Storm. So we've seen the Red Dragon Cobra recently. So this is their Storm. So this is like an upgraded version. This is up to 12,000 DPI, I believe, if I remember rightly. Got a couple of extra buttons on there, but this is the lightweight version. So the previous one was like a solid front. This one's a lightweight. So I'm actually interested to find out. I did like using that. So we'll see what that's like. So we've got that coming up soon. That's the Red Dragon Storm. Lovely jubbly. Thank you, Bob. Also, this actually got a little bit mangled in the post, as you can see. There's a few cracks in there, but it doesn't appear to have damaged it. So this is, I'm not even sure what brand this is. I've not heard of it before. This is...
Because you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I really don't know. What is Dicua mouse. So this is like a
Kenny G in the same...
like an ergonomic mouse. So it's wireless, and I think it's a Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, and potentially wired as well. But it's got a really unusual look to it.
James Brock's off.
Cheers, James. Catch you later. So yeah, there's another interesting one. Bob sees these things and says, "Oh, that looks great. I'm going to send you that." Yeah, it's not a. It did come through in like a plastic bag, so it's got a few little dings in the plastic.
Is that the one the postman
looks alright.
was singing down the driveway?
The postman actually was singing at our doorbell. And another one that young Bob sent is from Zulang. And this is their X3 wireless RGB gaming mouse. Lightweight gaming mouse. And this one, actually, because it's not completely sealed, I had a brief gander. And this thing is actually extremely cool. Literally, because it's got holes everywhere. So this is pretty similar, again, lightweight construction because you've got the holes.
Is it the croc version?
Yeah, this is the croc mouse. So you've got 2 buttons on the side, nice, really nice clicky buttons on the side, which I like for the, as I said before, reloading. Because I'm left-handed, so I use my ring finger to reload and to drop weapon in CSGO. DPI switch on the top, just a single button, and nice scrolly mouse, which nice and flicky.
On your Peter pointer.
Nice clicky button, nice. And you've got USB, micro USB on the front. But the cool thing about this, when you turn it on, hallelujah, wireless RGB goodness. How'd you like those apples? That is bloody great.
Would you get Crocs if they were RGB?
You can change the RGB.
Bob will send you some RGB Crocs now.
Bob, don't send me RGB Crocs. We will fall out. The USB is actually stored in there, so that's pretty cool. I like the RGB going around the outside there. That's pretty awesome. So you got the flow, and you can turn it off to save battery. But the RGB is mental. Don't attack me, Flame.
He wants to
He's on the overhead.
I know.
There is Flame. Flame, that's a mouse. Attack. Attack.
Oh, he's
useless. He's hungover, more like. Piss off. Anyway, that's enough of that. Has that gone back? Yes, it has. Excellent. Thank you. So, yeah, Julio Iglesias. We like that a lot. So, yeah, that is... I think this is Bluetooth, wireless... Hey, that's off. I don't know. Why's it got more off switches?
Can you read Bob's out?
I don't know what's going on there.
Can you read Bob's comment?
Can I read Bob's comment? I can. Where is it? Bob. No, I can't read out Bob's comment. Yeah, William Bodie and Ugly Bob seem to have, they're like having, it's like face off. So they're both trying to send me mice, and it's like, oh god, I've only got so many hands. But it's really cool to see all these new mice.
But we do need more kittens then.
We need more kittens, really. That is the problem. We need more kittens to go with the mice. No, we don't. We don't want kittens. But that
Tim's off, by the way.
decent stuff. I like this. Thanks, Tim. Catch you later. Off to try out the second-hand Hot As I picked up. What's Hot As? Don't know what that is. Okay. Robert says, whatever happened to our colourful PCBs from the early 2000s? Yes. Yes, this is definitely a thing. But definitely, I think I love this kind of thing now, mice and other kind of peripherals, because the PC market in general is, like we've said before, is completely buggered. It really is. It's very, very screwed, at least, unless you're in that kind of 1% elite. If you're not in that, then it's tough. It's very tough for everyone. And I'm at the moment now, I've sold 3 or 4 PCs this week.
Flight controller is a HOTAS.
Oh, HOTAS, gotcha. Flight controller. That makes sense. Yes, I've now sold pretty much all the PCs that I can sell, that I've got available to sell. So, what the hell is that? Oh, Flame is like cat food jelly.
Oh, he was eating when I brought him in. I dragged him away from his food.
Healthy swine. Ooh, cat food jelly.
Sorry, Flamey.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm at the point now where I need to buy some parts to build PCs, because that's part and parcel of what we do here, to some extent. People are always asking, so but I want to put together a sensible PC. There's no point spending an absolute ton of money and having it sitting around underneath the desk in a box, waiting for someone to go, Mike, I've got a ridiculous amount of money, please sell me an overpriced PC. Because that doesn't happen. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Windows 11, I'm thinking Thanksgiving, not so much here, but obviously Christmas, all that kind of stuff. It's going to ramp up. It's already starting to ramp up now because the kids going back to school. That's going to happen very shortly. It's kind of kicked in now, more so. So it's like, what do I buy? What do I buy now? Using my own advice, what do I buy? And weirdly, I find myself coming back to PCs that I was building 2 years ago. Because they still make sense. So I'm looking Ryzen 5 2600, I'm looking B450 motherboards, I'm looking 16 gigs of 3200 RAM, I'm looking maybe SSDs rather than NVMe's, although they're similar prices these days. I'm looking at 1070s, I'm looking at 1060s, I'm looking at RX 580s. And it's just weird how the whole thing which has gone on in the world has been going on for about 18, 19 months now. And in terms of what makes sense to build a PC, that made sense back then, still makes sense now. It's like the whole world has been on pause for the last 2 years. It's really mad. Captain Meets Adventures, Mike's the PC seller and his PCs will be sold.
Why can you not read that without putting that tune to it?
Why can I not? Yeah, you've got to put that tune to it, haven't you? Ben says there are some great sites that give really good deal on components. Kenny D says there isn't much you can buy brand new. Yeah, that is also where it comes to. I think because again, AM5, the new Alder Lake S processors, which are going to be Intel's new DDR5 setup, we're going to start seeing DDR4 coming down in price. I would be amazed if we didn't. And ironically, it's almost the same sort of feeling now as when AM3 went to AM4. We saw that big drop in price for RAM. We're starting to see RAM prices come down a little. They're kind of stabilised more so, but they are, I don't know, they're not running away like a lot of other things are. Oh God. They got to be in blue, same colour as Mike's Unboxing. The
blue ones.
The way forward from here is unclear. I wish I had a time machine to see what is going to happen next year. I don't see things changing a great deal. So I think realistically, we are going to be building the same PCs over and over and over and over for a while. I don't know. What do you guys think? What is a sensible purchase right now? A second-hand 3060? Sorry, a second-hand 3600, a second-hand 2600. They're cheap enough. I don't know. William Bodie says, going on, it's more like World War III. Yeah. Aletta says it's begging to make more sense to, it's beginning to make more sense just to drop 2K on a good laptop. See, that is another thing. I've sold my laptop last week. My laptop is now gone, so I don't have a laptop anymore. Which actually, for some purposes, as we are now streaming, this actually works out right because I've got a screen there. I don't have my laptop there. It's not ideal. I really need to get my Stream Deck set up. That is something which I really must do. As soon as I get time to breathe and pee, I will definitely be doing that. I don't want to build an Intel DDR5 system. I don't, because I think it's just going to be ridiculously pricey to begin with. If there's a company out there that want to do some form of sponsorship and they say, Mike, build this, we'll send you the parts, send them back after, fine, I'll do it. But I wouldn't do it of my own accord, for sure. Yes. Kenny D and Kenny G. I'm getting confused now. It's a tough situation. There's no point now shelling out on a 5950X. There isn't, because AM5 is literally around the corner. It's like buying a brand new car when the next registration plate is about to hit the shelves. You're losing money anyway because you're buying top end, and because there's something brand new around the corner, it's going to devalue almost overnight. Not to the massive extent that a car would, but for computer components there is going to be a devaluation, and also it's immediately then it's old technology which people are going to be less interested in. So that gives me again another kind of weird thing to think about in the direction of the channel. What do we do? Do we review stuff which is coming out, which is all new and shiny? I guess we got to, because there's going to be people that are interested in it, but ultimately you can't buy it. So what's the point of reviewing and going, this stuff's cool, this is great, this is good, bad, indifference, whatever, when you can't buy it anyway, so it makes no difference. In retrospect, a year later when you might be able to actually buy it, then it might make sense to buy it and review it again on the price that you can actually buy it.
Is the 5600X worth
I'm confused. Is the 5600X worth it? I haven't tried one. I've not used one. So I'm purely going on speculation based on benchmarks that I've seen. If I compare the 5600X with the 3600X, which would be a fair comparison, 6 cores, 12 threads, etc, etc, I don't think so. Although at the new prices, they're very close now. So the 3600 being 190 here in the UK, and the 5600 being about 250, 255 I think, from memory. So £60 more makes more sense. When the 3600 was at its kind of regular price, at the 155, 150, 160, paying £100 more for basically the same chip, which is about 10-15% faster, doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Especially on the aging chipset, which it would be paired with. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys are a better judge of that if you've got the money. What would you, let me know in the chat, what would you do? 3600X, 5600X, or actually throw a curveball in the mix. Let's throw the 3700X in the middle of that, or the 3800X in the middle of that, which is £10 dearer at the moment in the UK than the 37. 3800X productivity is going to beat the 5600X pretty handily and almost the same price. Difficult choice, very difficult choice.
Would you build a PC that was sponsored by Kerry Holzman?
Would I build a PC sponsored by Kerry Holzman? Yes, I would. Definitely would.
Will DDR3 be announced outdated soon?
DDR3, in theory, is outdated now. Anything which isn't current is technically outdated, even though it's in use. There are still chipsets which run DDR4, which will use DDR3L. So it's kind of not obsolete, but is very much getting that way.
Can you say shiny?
Can I say what? I can't even see it.
Shiny and new, in the style of Madonna.
Can I say shiny and new in the style of Madonna from Like a Virgin?
Go on. Go on.
I'm trying to get the... No, I can't. Because I can't, I'm smiling too much, I can't do it.
I couldn't even read it.
Fred Brown says I like my 5600X. 5600X, I'm not saying is a... it's not a bad processor, obviously. It's a great processor. For gaming, the 5600X is the best value of the current generation. I would say, arguably, the 3600X is the better value for gaming. Because in gaming, you're going to want to put your money towards a graphics card. So having the £100-ish difference between the two, you'd be better off spending that extra £100 on your graphics card than you would on your CPU, because games are graphically intensive. So there's no point having a CPU which is 10% faster, which is probably not going to benefit your frame rate massively. Maybe a few FPS, maybe, well, if you're at 100 frames per second, you'd get 110 or 120 frames per second, which you probably, I don't know if you'd notice a difference at that rate. Captain Meat, I can't not look at that and think about it.
As soon as this stream's over, you're doing that.
Ugly Bob, like a virgin.
He's not from Birmingham.
I know. Oh dear. John says 2700X for 120 to 140 is a deal over a 2600X for 110 at CX. Yeah, the 2700X is still a very, 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 very good performing processor. It really is. Private Hudson says Ryzen 5 3600 is still okay for gaming. Yeah, it definitely is. The thing is, people always kind of have these things like, this is the chip you need for gaming, which is completely wrong, because there isn't a chip that you need for gaming. The chip that you have is the one for gaming. As long as you can play your games at the frame rates and the kind of visual quality that you want to, that's it, you're done. Wanting higher frame rates or wanting a better resolution is one thing, but needing it is another. I must admit, when it comes down to gameplay, I play very, very minimal amount of gaming. Most of my stuff on a PC is research based, video editing, and the occasional gaming on a night time before I go to bed. So I play CSGO because I can go in, drop out. Rocket League again, drop in, drop out, and maybe the occasional bit of Far Cry. I want to play Far Cry when it comes out, new one, obviously. Far Cry 6 is going to be amazing, and I want to play that. If for some reason my PC at that point doesn't get at least 60 frames per second at 1440p, then I will be forced to upgrade, potentially. Although, depending on how much I enjoy the game, I may go to 1080p. Realistically, it doesn't make a great deal of difference. As long as you enjoy the game and you get some decent frame rates, it's not laggy as all hell, then it's all about the experience. You don't need the latest and greatest processor. Yes, it would be nice if you could. It would be great to have a 3080, 3090 or 1600 XT, whatever. It would be great. It would be nice. But do you really need it? You probably don't. And I've looked at game benchmarks, and I've looked at visual tests, and unless you're really pixel peeping, it's really, really hard to notice a difference. And when you've got things like DLSS and also the FX from AMD, where it kind of scales the resolution a bit, realistically you're never going to notice. And the more that technology comes out and the better it becomes, it's going to be less and less of a need to get high-end graphics cards, because you can just upscale from 1080p to 4K or 1440p, and visually you probably won't tell a huge amount of difference. I really struggle. If I looked at two screens, which was 1080p, 1440p, and probably not 4K, but those two next to each other, and it was like a blind challenge and I had to guess which one was which, I would struggle to tell you which one was the difference. I really would. Especially if it's on like a 24-inch screen. 1080p and 1440p, between the two, it's almost impossible to tell a difference. It really is. At least for me. Fred Brown says, Mike, I have 400 games but play Left 4 Dead most of the time. Left 4 Dead, the what's the one that they released recently, which was the public beta? Back for Dead? Back from the Dead? Whatever it was, the new version of Left 4 Dead. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was brilliant. I was gutted when the trial ended. That's going to be one of those games which I will definitely buy. Back 4 Dead, or whatever it's called. Back 4 Blood. That's it. Thank you, Riley. Yeah, Back 4 Blood was very, very enjoyable. I really did enjoy it. I didn't think I was going to, but I played it, and then I played the old version of Left 4 Dead, and it's like, ooh, yeah, that is much better. It really is much better. If you've not tried it, when it comes out, definitely get it. And I think that's where it is. Far Cry. Fred Brown says, Mike, Left 4 Dead looks a lot better with the 6600 XT. Good. I'm glad it does. Left 4 Dead, all those games, I really enjoy those kind of zombie shooters. They're very enjoyable. As long as I like the Counter-Strike setup, the play method. I really like it. It's very simple. I don't like all that scoping and stuff, and if I can possibly help it, but anyway, that's another story. But games-wise, we've got some decent games coming out in the future. that is going to be some of the turning points of why we need to upgrade potentially to be able to play those games. For me, Back 4 Blood and Far Cry 6 are going to be the ones which would probably be the ones where I turn around and say, right, okay, maybe I do need to do a slight upgrade here, or just overclock the crap out of my stuff. John says the R9 Ryzen 9 3900 Non-X is an underrated chip if you can find them. I've got a 3900X and I think it's really good. 37X serves me well, says Stuart.
No. My cable.
DJ Lifted Andreas says the 5600X serves me perfectly. I really want to try a 5600X. I'm tempted to buy one just to see what it's like, and then maybe I could put it in the PC behind me and I can use the 3600 which is in there, which I got for a pretty good price, and put that in a system build to sell on. That makes sense then, because if you're building a system to sell on and you're taking bits out of your old system to replace, that kind of makes sense, because you're not doing it just for the need, you're doing it because there's an upgrade in sight which you can possibly fund from selling a PC, in which case, yeah, it makes sense. Rick Hartzer says, actually there's two there. Battlefield 6, definitely we're looking out for that. Half-Life 3, whatever happened to the Half-Life franchise? Come on, Gabe, pull your finger out your butthole. Please let us have Half-Life 3, modern technology, DLSS and ray tracing. Give us Half-Life 3, you tight bastard. And a kitten. No, no kittens. That is what we want. Half-Life 3. In fact, if we can have Half-Life 3 for Christmas this year, I think the last 2 years will all be forgotten and we'll be all happy people again. And be like, yep, yay, Half-Life 3's out, yay, happy days. Kenny D says, I hope my Ryzen 5 1600 will last me a while gaming and streaming. No reason why it shouldn't do. Ryzen 5 1600 is a decent chip. In fact, the Ryzen 5 1600 to the 2600 wasn't a massive jump, much like the 2600 to the 3600 wasn't a massive jump. It never is. William Bodie, what is your PC setup for your gaming PC? Well, the thing is, I don't really have kind of a specific gaming PC. I play games on anything I can play on. So my video editing PC, which is over there, is the 5700 XT with the Ryzen 9 3900X, which plays pretty much anything I want to do. This one behind me is the Ryzen 5 3600 with the 2060 Super. So between the two, if that one's rendering or uploading or something, then I can use this one. If this one's doing something, getting stream ready, or I'm recording some footage, I can use that one. So between the two of them, I got pretty much all the bases covered. Although I've just done a fresh install on my rig over there, because I changed out the B550 board back to the Asus X570 Tough Gaming, which I don't regret. I'm glad I did it. And now I've got 3 NVMe drives in there, which is a little bit overkill. So I've got a 1 terabyte NVMe for Windows, I've got a 2 terabyte NVMe for games, and another 1 terabyte NVMe for my video footage, which is overkill. I don't need that. I could quite easily just put it on the NAS and get it to come over, but I did find that system with the AMD card struggles for video editing at 4K with more than one thing on the timeline. It really does struggle, even with reduced textures and all that. There's just something about the AMD card, it just doesn't like it. So I put in a 1070 just to see how it was, and it was a little bit better. Adobe Premiere does love NVENC encoding. It really hates OpenCL, it really does. But it is what it is, so I'm not going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on a 3080 or 3070 just so I can get a slightly smoother editing flow. I'll just stick with 1080p videos for now. That's absolutely fine. Fred Brown says, Mike likes silly racing games. I do like silly racing games such as, well, Formula 1 I quite liked, but I found it hard to actually get used to. Microsoft Flight Simulator, I do like that immensely. That for me is a very good one for unwinding. Just pick a plane, pick a country, and just go for a flight. I really, really do love doing that. It's such an enjoyable experience. They've done such good work on that to make the maps. It's very, very realistic, and weirdly, quite often I find myself flying from Filton Airport, which is near us, to Bristol, which is on the coast, and also from Filton over to Cardiff, that sort of thing. Although whenever I seem to play, it's always night time. And because it's real world kind of physics, it's always night time, and I suck at flying at night. Well, I don't suck at flying, I suck at landing, which is quite important, I guess. So yeah, there is that to it. I love Wreckfest. Wreckfest is great. If you've not played Wreckfest before, you certainly should. We have actually got a Wreckfest server which is up and running. Just go to MUB, or look for MUB on the Wreckfest list. When it comes down, the password is ass.
M-U-B.
MUB. M-U-B. Ass. Anyway, so Cosmic Space Muffin, bless him, is sorted it out for us. I'm not sure if he's up at the moment, actually. I need to check with him on that. What other racing games do I play? Rocket League, I suppose. Rocket League is very enjoyable. I do enjoy that. I am crap at it, but I do enjoy that.
Need for Speed you've played recently?
Yeah, Need for Speed as well. The older Need for Speed. The Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. The 2007 version. Love playing that. Speed running the hell out of that. Love it. Robert says, takeoff and landing are the most important. They are. Captain Meets Adventure says, what a game based on Grange Hill. We need a sausage throwing on a fort level. Roland!
Rolands?
Rolands! Love it. Ben says, recommendation for an affordable joystick for Flight Simulator. For Flight Simulator, I don't think you can go too far wrong with the Logitech, the G Pro. That is really good. They did get super expensive when Flight Sim came out first of all, but I think they've dropped down in price now. You should be able to pick one up for about £35–40. Really good.
Sim time of day to something different when there's light.
Tumbril, that is just being sensible. How dare you? Oletta says taking off is optional, landing is not. It is, yeah, it is very true. Jared Bellinger says the Ryzen 3600 on a B450 Elite is a great combo and rock solid. Recently switched out for an i9 10900 non-K. I got it for a great price, €239. Couldn't resist. Put it on a Z490 no limits 4.6 all core. Lovely job.
Are easier to come by as it seems.
Well, sorry.
Jared continues.
Oh yeah, CPU deals. Yeah, CPU deals are easier to come by, especially weirdly Intel stuff, because they've missed the mark on the 10 series and the 11th series in the mid-range and the low end. Maybe the 10100F is kind of decent, but the motherboards are still quite expensive. If they could do Intel motherboards on the B460 platform or B560 platform at considerably less money, I would have no hesitations whatsoever in buying an Intel chip. But the motherboards are so dang expensive. Why would I buy an Intel setup when I can buy an AMD one, which is going to be unlocked, going to let me overclock the RAM, and the motherboard's going to cost me probably £30 less in the UK? It just doesn't make any sense at all. They need to bring their prices down. There we go. Skystalker says Logitech Extreme 3D Pro is 40 Canadian dollars on Canadian, yes, 40 CAD on Canadian Amazon. And Skystalker, bless him, actually sent the Logitech G Pro 3D to me so I could play Flight Sim, which I still need to sort my desk out properly so I can have it on there. I need a bigger desk. I keep on saying it's Kath every day. I need a bigger house or a bigger desk. I don't care which comes first. I might have to build a studio in the garden. That'll really piss off the neighbours. Especially me trying to fix the clamps on the Arctic Freezer 34 spring. Lots of profanities. Dakar99 says, Mike, buying a 3900X for 250 sealed is a good choice for nowadays? Hell yeah. yeah, if you can get it with a B550 Aorus Elite V2 sealed for €60, yeah, rip their arm off and then batter them with the stumps. Robert, I thought the lower end Intel boards can't OC the memory for the new motherboards. I think for the 560 they can. I don't think they can for the 460. Well, you can overclock a little bit, but then you're limited by what the processor will do. I think the B460 was limited to what, 2666? Again, depending on the processor, but Skystalker says little bigger house is a bit more expensive than a new desk.
More room for kittens.
It is, but lots more room for Cat to have kittens, as O'Reilly has already planted the seed into Cat's brain. Like that needed any fertilizing. Right, what time is it? Oh Christ, I've gone way over. So, I think we should wrap things up there because I've actually got work tomorrow in the real world, sadly. Thank you all for taking part in tonight's stream. It's been, hopefully it's been informative, and we've made some new friends tonight. Some new people have come into the stream, so it's always good to see new people. Thank you all for your super chats and for your comments as well. It's always really good to have a balanced opinion and get some feedback from you guys, see what you like and see what you don't.
I'm not sure I understand. Is there something else I can help with?
Have you got any cheap GPUs?
I'm not sure I understand.
I'll take that as a no. Anyway, that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you all for taking part. Thank you for the super chats, as we said. Yeah, put down a like if you haven't done already. If you haven't subscribed, and click the bell thing, please make sure you have done. But again, it's been a great night. We've had plenty of you in, loads of likes. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you're feeling particularly vindictive, feel free to recommend this channel to your friends as well, so they can take the piss out of me in the comments.
And
also,
if your kids aren't behaving.
Yeah, also if your kids aren't behaving or are not able to sleep, leave the stream on and they'll be off like that. Works every single time. So I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we will catch you guys in the very next video. Thanks for watching.